We stand up slowly.
We'll be there.
Call meeting order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Everybody had a chance to look over the agenda. Any conflicts of interest or any thing on the agenda you'd like to change? Otherwise, we'll call the agenda approved. Madam Auditor, if you please read the minutes of the last meeting.
You bet. April 9th, 2024, the Board of Supervisors met at 9 a.m. with Jean Hayden, Chair presiding, members present, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, Mulbauer, and Rosberg. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. On motion, the board recognized claims for public health and approved claims for all other departments. The board approved Sheriff's Office quarterly report for January through March of 24. The board approved Recorder's quarterly report January through March of 24. The board approved hiring of Connor Paulson, seasonal yellow smoke park attendant, conservation. A motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the Iowa DOT federal aid agreement for City Highway Bridge Program 3-24 HBP 004, Project BRS 7927 602 60-24 M55 bridge over the East Booyer River near Vale. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Schultz, to approve the bridge replacement agreement with the city of Vale for County Road M55 bridge over the East Booyer River, FHWA number 011480. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the Iowa DOT federal aid agreement for raised discretionary project, a Donna Reed Bridge over UP Railroad project HDP 1920631 6B 24. Agreement number 3-24-raise-002. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the health and dental insurance renewal with IGHCP and the $1,500 plan with to-go feature, option 3. Motion passed unanimously. Jacob Langholz, IT Director, discussed with the board about IT services for E911, EMA, and assessor. No action was taken at this time. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Rosberg, to approve the PRI disconnect for Frontier. Motion passed unanimously. On motion, duly seconded, the board adjourned at 11:19 a.m. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse Friday, 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting.
All right. Any corrections or additions to the read minutes? If not, we'll consider them approved, and I was on here.
Did I give you the right one?
Oh, yeah, just kind of looking it over here.
I got one.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Yep.
Alrighty. Supervisors and their standing committees, and your special community reports. I believe it could be Dave's turn.
All right. I'll make it real quick. First on, I did talk to Roger, and I know you guys got an email from Ken Pearson.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and Roger said he didn't talk to the gentleman that was the owner, but he talked to his brother and kind of got the ball rolling as far as getting some cleaned up, and he addressed the issue. He said, there's a town celebration for 125 years. We need you to work on this, and they, at least up front, seemed like they were wanting to start to do something.
Here's the question I have.
But we'll wait to see.
What is the penalty on our ordinance that's out there for that violation? What is the teeth that we can put into it to make sure it happens? It's my understanding this is the third time they've been given this violation. Nothing was ever done. And there has to be a punishment. You have to know what's going to happen if you don't. Now, Carrie did say that there possibly is one of the motorhomes, the sewer is just going into the ground, so she's following up on that a little bit. But I guess nobody seems to know if somebody just ignores their violation, what is the punishment?
When you pull our nuisance ordinance and
Yeah,
I'm
we
looking
need-
at it right now.
Thank you, Kyle.
And that should be addressed within the
Yeah.
nuisance ordinance.
But I believe they gave.
Cause I believe at the time when we implemented that, and Kyle refreshed my memory, we said that there, what good is the ordinance with
No teeth.
Correct.
So it should be in there.
I did ask, I got the same phone call as you did, and I wondered. And so it was kind of, let's give them a
Okay.
chance to get it cleaned up. So,
Section 3, failure to comply.
okay,
If the property owner, the lien owner fails to correct the violation identified by the compliance date set out in the notice of violation or upon insurance issuance of the final decision by the Board of Supervisors in written upholding the notice of violation after an appeal, the county attorney may prepare an order of abatement, including an estimate for abatement costs
Okay.
for submission to the Board of Supervisors for endorsement and ratification. Once endorsed and ratified, the Board of Supervisors, the abatement officer will serve upon the property owner or lien holder a certified United States mail of the person's last known address on file with the Crawford County Assessor's Office. Property owner does not reside upon the property, a copy of notice shall be mailed to the property owner or lien holder by certified. Ooh, okay. So in other words, it looks like we can find them actual cleanup costs.
okay,
That's how I'm reading that.
that's how I'm
So all
hearing
the
it.
bill. Yeah, yeah. Now, will we ever get the money? I don't know, but that's the process.
Well, you add it to the taxes, and then when they get ready to sell the property, then that would be a lien against the
Yep.
property, and we get it later.
But I'm guessing it hasn't even hit the appeal part of it yet.
And
So,
the unfortunate thing about this is that won't happen before the celebration, because that process is going to take serving and waiting
Yeah.
and going, so, let's just see, let's just hope that he does what he says he's gonna do, and it seems like Carrie's gonna follow through that other issue.
Craig, did you see the packet?
Contact has been initiated.
That's right.
And
see your Rogers document and everything,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, so I guess we do wait and see, but I think, since this is the third, issue, we need to actually put some teeth in it this time if we.
I think the first time he cleaned it up a little bit and then kind of got away from him again, so.
Yeah, I think that's correct too. So,
We'll see what
thank you.
happens.
Thank you.
The other thing I had Region 12 meeting last Thursday night. We had both our executive board meeting along with our policy council meeting. The executive board meeting was first. That was fairly short. As far as meat and potatoes in the meeting, we pretty much just went over claims and approved them. A lot of our claims are with, revolving loan funds and some of the housing projects going on, and they are very active in their housing projects, which is good. And they're spread throughout the 6 counties very evenly, and they're continually looking for more. And then on our policy council meeting, we did a few things that we do every year. They're like approve the transit financial assistance application, so we can continue to do that. Went over our fiscal report. We had our executive director update. He did say there are some legislative things, COG assistance, they received money from the state, and that there's some talk about that being increased from 400,000 or to 400,000 from 250, which would basically mean $9,000 extra for each COG roughly, is what he said, which math don't really seem right.
No,
But I'm not sure who that all entails for all the COGs.
I don't know that.
So it says, COG assistant is making its way through legislature. Currently, there is an increase to 400,000 from 250, which would mean just under an additional 9,000 per COG.
How
Also,
many cogs are there?
I'll divide that. I don't know.
I'm not even sure how many cogs there
I don't know either. My own kind don't belong to one.
Yeah,
I
they're-
mean,
Yeah.
So I don't know, everybody,
Research for you.
I only thought there was 4 or 5.
I thought there was like 10 or 12.
Is there that many? I mean, with all the
Guess of the
different
region
groups that we
12.
got out there.
Right.
it
at
makes
one
sense.
point in time, there was at least 12. I
Right.
think.
Then
Region 12.
I would think. I mean, that's just
we'll do
charter.
the math backwards.
That's charter
That's
road
what I'm
cost.
If the increase is 150,000 divided by 9,000 is 16.6 COGS.
doing.
Grab a hand.
And maybe they get them at a different rate or
That could be-
based
that
on
could be
other, yeah,
population.
and that's
Could
just
be.
it.
Also, let me just read this. Senator Schultz has been approached to address the insurance premium tax currently levied against government entities. While there's no tax for self-insured plans, those governments who partially self-fund or purchase a fully insured plan pay a premium tax despite their status. Primary beneficiaries of eliminating this tax would be small governments, cities, 2080 schools, example, who already face higher premiums due to the high risk as a small group. So they're trying to help these entities with that insurance premium to help maybe.
We'll be one of them.
The
What would we want?
entities are charged a tax. We have to pay.
Not current, well, we're self-funded currently, so no. But we'll be partially in the new year, the new fiscal year, so it sounds like we will.
We will. So they're trying to address that to eliminate so we won't be taxed for that. However, they have not heard back from Jason yet.
It doesn't know what I said, just don't understand the point of
I-
the state entity.
You're either exempt or you're not, right?
Right, that's the issue of why
I know.
they're trying to bring it forward and say, hey, we need to correct this.
I mean, ain't that,
But I just,
is that irony or just, I don't know, I mean, what is it, you're taxing an entity that.
Irony is a word you could use, yes.
I already said this is the word of the day.
And in fact, it had
But-
but many others too.
Oh,
Right, why?
why, just the why, where's that tax dollar going?
Well,
And why?
the point is to lower property tax according to the state, so let's tax an entity that charges
It's
property
exempt,
tax.
yeah.
So I thought that was
Once
interesting,
again, that didn't make sense to me, Kyle.
but they're going to try to lobby to correct that.
Well, I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that they're getting close to end of session, so they're not gonna lobby real hard for that.
Probably not.
This year.
But they're trying to make it more people aware of it.
Yeah.
That is happening. One of you, they had some Iowa Waste Exchange, some marketing things we talked about. Chris Whitaker gave us his local assistance report, where we talked about this CDBG and some home fund housing projects. It's all here. Affordable housing program. So that's just kind of updates. Let's see, we also had went over the financials, was good. And then we did Matt did a transit report. That's, you want to look over those numbers, it just kind of shows you how many vehicles they have, what their rides were.
Break that down and how many rides, Crawford County, taxes do. So it's an interesting number based on, how many Carol does, I always.
Right,
Then I still think that it'd be nice if we had the Hy-Vee, you know, where once a week or once a month, they give free rides to Hy-Vee. Carol County does that.
or this update only show. The transit services, new services are the Exira, Elkhorn, Kimballton School, Thomas Rest Haven and Coon Rapids, Tiller's Cab and Carroll and Glidden Ralston School are the new, they added new, it does not break it down per
Okay.
county. But Q3 has revenue shows 25,680 rides. So we're moving along.
Yeah.
But if you want to look through the details there, also, they changed their drug and alcohol testing to a different outfit. Just to keep up with things that's more current.
Yep.
And that's about it.
There you go. So you're done?
I'm done.
Fred, we're gonna have you go next if you're ready.
I don't have anything.
Okay, first is not last, though.
I don't have much either, but, got a Yes Center meeting Cherokee Friday. Nothing Got a couple phone calls from some citizens in regards to yellow smoke and what's going on with Eric retired or moving on and some of that, but I mean, he took a job with PD, so he's moving on.
He was currently working there, so.
Yep, trying to better his family and stuff, so wish him well.
Started the process of hiring a new.
Yes, the process of hiring a new has been started, so.
Anybody from the inside, willing to?
I don't believe there's anybody from the inside. I could be totally wrong and
Yeah.
blindside, but I don't think there'd be anybody currently there. The only one that wouldn't, Bryce or Nelson's Park guy might be interested in it, but
Oh,
I don't think with his current situation, I think he just wants to stay where he's at.
because doesn't that, and I correct me if I'm wrong, you need to have some, background, you have to be approved, as far as law enforcement, you can.
No, actually, Eric and Bryce were the first ones in quite some time that had law enforcement certification, so there's no.
You could get that after you were hired.
Yep.
The right person.
Yep,
Is
and
it
we
required
worked
now?
out with Bryce to, I think, yeah, that process that the conservation board fronted part of the cost and had him sign an agreement that if he retire in a certain time that he owes that back. So it's nice. It's not a necessary deal, but it's nice to have that law enforcement deal, especially at Nelson's Park, because you're not as close to other law enforcement. So, I mean, you could actually maybe remedy or citations out there before.
You might not know the answer to this, but let's say there was a fight that broke out among a couple of campers at either of our parks, and the park ranger was, on duty. Could they write a ticket, or would they need to make a call? Okay.
They are, well, Bryce and Eric, Bryce is still as a certified police officer, so.
Okay,
Yep, so they do have the authority to cite citations and stuff
but
of that.
not necessarily required.
No, it wasn't, I mean,
Can they make an arrest and bring them?
I think, yeah,
But under what authority are they working under? Just, cause I did have.
that's
some
I think they're
questions about
working
that.
under the authority. I'm gonna say the sheriff's department, but they have their own authority, but I think they have to do some of the stuff, they have to access some of the sheriff's or PD's
Okay,
computers and stuff, which, I mean,
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I would think that they would call in the sheriff department or the city
right,
when they have an incident to help them.
yep, and I think so, but,
Ty has a
I
question.
kind of remember from when I was a kid, I had a friend that was the Dolliver Park Ranger, was an adult, but I mean, was very friendly to us kids. And I remember him telling us that, like, inside the park, he's got more authority than the sheriff's.
he's got
Oh.
jurisdiction, he's authority.
Yeah, that's his, that's like
His
his domain. Now, he's not out doing police work like we think about,
Yeah, no.
investigations,
Right.
drug bust. But if you go shoot a deer on his park or anything like that, or you're creating a disturbance, he can arrest you and haul you in, and then I think they coordinate with the sheriff. But that's just, I don't remember all of it, but I remember him having a lot of authority in the park. And I suspect because they are trained law enforcement, if they would encounter something out on the street, they could probably call for backup, but, I'm guessing on that though, because they are cops,
Since we're on the subject then, would they have a gun, a taser, handcuffs?
Yeah, I remember, I
This
think
kid, I've never thought
Lance,
of it before.
I think Lance used to carry a sidearm and was it
Okay.
Pittsburgh?
Maybe.
Just,
I think he used to have a sidearm on him, so, I mean, yeah, they have the authority to do that.
very good. Something I had thought about for a while. It's,
Is there a minimum requirement for applicants, like GED or some sort of college or?
I don't know if there's a minimum requirements, but I do know that they pick, those that have a degree in conservation and that stuff, score higher in the process and getting hired, so.
I have one more question, just as we're on the subject. Just one more question.
Famous last words.
There's 5 fingers on a hand, one more hand.
Go ahead.
Things come to me.
Last call.
If they have, the day off, let's, because we can't work somebody 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So you have the day off, you're having a family day and something happens at the park. Are you required then to not be on your family day or your sick day and react to whatever happened at the park? Or do you have a backup? Cause that would just be such an impossible job
Yeah,
to never have a sick day.
I'm guessing that's where I don't know if they have 2080 agreements with but there'd probably be a way to handle that, just create a 2080 agreement with maybe the sheriff's department or the Denison Police Department here at Yellow Smoke and the sheriff's department or the Dunlap Police Department at Nelson's Park to have a 2080 agreement that says that in an event.
Good question.
I would feel it would maybe be something that we've always done it this way and it's always worked. And I almost think that maybe we need to dig into that.
And maybe it was that we had multiple at the time that, they were never all off at the same time, so they were able to handle it, so.
It's just something, through one of the phone calls that I had gotten, made me wonder about those
I mean, you
things.
would think that since they are in Crawford County, the parks,
Yes,
that if you're a part-time employee at the park, and something pops up, that you would be able to call the Crawford County Sheriff's Department, and a deputy would show up. I mean, to me, that's just a logical
Sheriff's deputies cover.
way to do things.
They cover it. Yes, I know they cover it, but
Who did?
Roger.
Oh, okay.
I don't
So.
know if there's a need for a 2080 agreement between the two.
I would think that, sure.
once again, I
Crawford County,
would,
Crawford County.
right.
But,
I would assume they're their first.
I don't know.
But the only reason that I
That's good to
asked
know, though,
that
that they
is,
cover it. I mean,
let's just say that you are having a sick
I mean,
day
that's.
Mhm.
and something's going on and you
I just
call
remember.
and, you back up and say, well, you're down there, why do we need to
Right,
come?
he was-
How do you deal with that? Do you just go out there and then you get some comp time for working on your day off or, cause they get a day off, don't they?
But he's
Yeah.
always a pretty good guy.
Well, they could be on vacation, they could be gone, not today.
Yeah, but a lot of times I take a vacation and I just stay home, and, so because his home is right there on
I
the
suppose that was for
location.
more to protect.
It's there, he sees
An
it,
animal got.
but you have to
carried
react to
away or
it even
something.
though
We
you
didn't bear
officially
anything to worry about.
clocked out because you're having personal time. Are you required to get done with your personal time? Just some things to think about. Maybe it never happens.
Mhm.
But I think it
Yeah, I
could
don't-
happen.
But if
I mean,
there's,
it's obviously somebody's concerned about it, they brought it to you, but I don't think it's, an issue that's happens very often.
Obviously.
Very rare,
Obviously.
during the winter months, I'm betting it happens even less, but, during
Just some
full
things
camping
that-
the
season.
county's backing them up though, I mean, they would know, you could always
Yeah.
contact, hey, I'm gonna be off this, or, I mean,
Yeah.
then they'd probably keep a better, a closer eye on it,
That could be so.
cause they'd know there's nobody.
There's probably the possibility they have more conversations about who's covering it than what we ever.
Then what would you ever know?
Those are just things
But
that,
I'll ask Mary if they should maybe look into a 2080 agreement just to cover, I don't like county, so I don't.
I don't know, just something to think about,
Okay.
make sure we're covered.
well, the sheriff's already covered, I'm sure. Those type of incidents, it's already taken care of.
I agree. Things just, I'm done.
Okay,
Not one more? One more?
but I was just going back to the nuisance abatement. It says section 4, after 10 days elapsed from the nuisance ordinance being issued, the abatement officer can go in and clean the property up. So,
And the abatement officer would be,
well, I'm guessing.
Appointed by the county attorney, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think presently
Sure,
the
probably
sheriff,
that's what I was thinking.
And you have to give them 30 days though to comply, right?
After
If you serve a
section
notice.
4 abatement, after 10 days have elapsed from the issue of the order of abatement, the abatement officer may enter the subject property and remove the nuisance in its entirety. So,
Now, that could be.
But was notice ever given in writing?
That's after a 30-day notice, right?
I think Roger's on. Roger?
Roger.
Are you on?
Control, maybe?
Roger.
I was wondering,
Maybe that's the ladies
you
in the
just
office.
update us on what happened a couple years ago.
I mean, I don't know. I know at one time the sheriff's department, or at least Susie called me and asked me about this news, and they didn't have a copy of this, so. So, I mean, if they don't have a copy of how it's supposed to work, how would they know how it's supposed to work?
I agree.
So maybe we need to get Roger, if you don't have a copy, maybe we just need to get Roger a copy.
And that's something relatively new that we have not had to use very much in the county ever since we implemented it. It's something we actually hope we'd never have.
Do you
to
remember we
use.
had a lot of discussion and it's kind of a slippery slope.
Mhm.
Yes,
What's a junk pile and what's not? What's a nuisance and what's not? Where do you infringe on landowners' rights
Right.
versus not? And that's where we kind of
That
went
was
with the
when I was
environmental
sitting over
health
there.
angle of
I
it.
remember that.
But-
That was an in-depth discussion.
because I remember it also, because I kept thinking of the place out on some homesteads that the houses are just kind of, and the neighbors are building a brand new house right across the road and they have to look at that eyesore.
But on the other hand, I mean, that's your individual property owner rights.
That's the property.
We're not in the business of infringing on that, so.
So,
All right, those are just things that come up as they come up, and I think that if we have the answers to it, it makes it easier before rather than after what.
oh, yeah.
I mean, but that's why there's an appeal process in the ordinance.
Correct,
Mhm.
correct,
So they have the right to say, hey, you guys aren't looking at this the right way.
correct.
Here's the way I view it. They could even, hire an attorney, go through the whole process.
Right.
And that's kind of the reason that I was sitting on the other side of the railing when that was going on. Had it, because you don't want neighbors to have to get into, the arguing about your causing, we wanted to have that third disinterested party of the sheriff going out and saying, hey, we've had a complaint. Can you fix this up? Please to be a good neighbor, kind of a deal, give them an opportunity to do that. So it was just meant to give us the authority to see if we can get somebody to do it the easy way, if they refuse. And it's deemed by an appeal, some people that go in there, they're disinterested, not neighbors, and fix it. It needs to be fixed. So might be our first time of testing that ordinance.
Maybe,
Maybe.
that's all I have.
Very good. Ty, you're up.
The only thing that I had of subsequent committee meetings is my VA and military and VA affairs with the NACO. And a lot of times that has to do with more of the counties that have an active duty base or something in it. I mean, it seems like a lot of the focus goes to that, but they also, talk about things that obviously affect the VA stuff. And this week was a lot about budgeting and the new budget for next year, what the president's trying to forward and, in the next fiscal year, I should say. But there was one part that stuck out in my mind. There's actually, and Kyle, you've got your VA benefits and everything. There's people that to try to help you increase your veterans. Do you get a bunch of them emails? Want to help you increase your rating and all that stuff.
Emails.
There's a little bit of a
See if I get them.
there's a I do.
I look at my county emails, my personal email
Yeah.
gets neglected all.
I hear ya. But there's companies out there that claim they can help you get your rating increased, and
Oh.
And
yeah, I see.
you get a lot of them, actually, I do anyway. And they're not gonna do you any more good than what our Louise does for us. I mean, she's a fighter, But there's some of them that are aggressive and then they overbill and they're basically skimming their cream off the top. So there's actually an act that they're wanting everybody to reach out to their elected officials to, what the heck did we call it? It was, try to give you the real name here. It's listed in here.
That's probably why I just delete most of them, because I figured they're getting funded somehow. They're not doing it just for my well-being, they're doing it for.
They're making some money or they wouldn't be sending you an email.
Can I ask you a real quick question while you're looking that up?
Yeah.
Is there something out there right now where they're planning on raising the amount that the veterans have to pay towards their medical? That was the subject that was brought up.
Oh,
at
yeah.
the meeting. I was.
I'll try to explain that a little bit from what I know.
I'll wait patiently.
Anyway, it's called Guard VA Benefits Act,
Okay.
and it's HR 1139. So if you talk to one of your, and this is obvious at the national level, but if you talk to or be elected, basically our legislative lobby is asking all the members of NACO to, make sure that that's being paid attention to, so that it's putting some legal work out there to keep them people from basically exploiting our, some of the older benefits or older veterans that may be at a 70, 80, and would obviously like 100, but these guys will come in and that 100 that they may gain them, it turns it back to a 60. You see what I mean? By the time they get their cream off the top.
Yep.
And I'm just throwing hypotheticals out there. Nobody really said that, Anyway, that's just something that really affected us too. They did talk about the funding that would potentially come up, minibus thing. I suspect when they were talking about that, I couldn't figure out whether they were talking about buses on the bases or if they were talking about buses that like what we have that serve all the guys down to the VA and stuff. So I really wasn't sure, but they're talking about putting 134 billion into that. So I gotta assume that that's a national, all the buses. So that's what's going to be their asking. It's just like our department's bringing us their askings. VA's mental health programs, which is obviously something that's getting better attention across the country for more than just the veterans, but they're asking to put 16.24 billion into the mental health stuff, the different programs. And that would be a $2.34 billion increase from what we're currently having. The VA homeless programs, they're asking for 3.1 billion. And that's I don't have my readers on, so $414 million increase in what they're asking there. And then the Veterans Benefit Administration and for management and all that stuff, they're asking for an additional 3.8 billion, 89 billion, so 3.9 billion. So them are some of the things they talked about there. Major highlights. That was mostly about base stuff. I mean, if you want to hear about it, we don't have a base. So, I mean, our guard compound does not constitute a base. Our bases cover a lot of ground, and has a lot of it has a lot of impact on your local economy. I sure wouldn't mind having one on mind you, but anyway, I'm sure they come with their pluses and minuses, but the toxic exposure fund, they're asking for a $24.5 billion increase for that. That's like the burn pits and Agent Orange type things and all that. They're asking for an increase in that because they've actually expanded that out to cover different conflicts, and then there's the different things that on bases even back here, or if you were in the Navy in particular, do a lot of fire training. So like the foams that you guys use that are a toxic thing. And that's something that I think the nation needs to look at for our local fire services, in particular our volunteers that have probably used that stuff. So, anyway, that's the side of this, but military pay raise, they're asking for a 4.5, which is down from the 5 they asked from last year. 5.2 they asked for or got last year. So they're being fiscally prudent a little bit there, I suspect. And with their 25% lack, they probably could ask for 6.5 for the ones that are left. Maybe they'd have get some new ones to join. I don't know. Like I said, a lot of times it ends up talking about active duty stuff, but that would affect your guard paycheck, so there's local people around here that would affect. So, basic needs allowance to BNA. I think that's like what we had for, like our food rat, separate rats, if we called them. I think that's what they call it now. So a little bit of terminology change in the last 30 years, So let's this request 1.2. Oh, they requested 1. I guess because I was always in male-oriented units, I never thought about this as a lot, but obviously if it exists in society, it'll exist in the military. But they're asking for 1.2 billion more for the Department for Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Office. So, I mean, and to quote what they were saying, that doesn't just happen to the ladies.
Right.
So, I mean, it's, and it really, I mean, when they start talking about it, it sounds like it's a lot bigger deal than you even think. So that's concerning, I guess, was for me anyway.
Absolutely.
And military family support, they're actually got some different programs out there, and you probably remember a little bit, Terry. a soldier switches from bases, a lot of times the base, like for the school, if a wife's a school teacher, you know, a spouse is a school teacher, they got a priority on being hired into them things, but they're actually trying to spread that out into the communities. Now, if you're overseas, you know, it probably wouldn't be as effectual, but, you know, here in Conus, you know, continental United States, they, you know, try to have that, and then it's trying to extend it a little bit more to when they retire or even terminate service. You know, there's always supposedly was where we had a priority of hiring. I don't know how effectual that was, but
I don't know.
But anyway, that's some of the things that we talked about. I mean, just to wrap it up, and I'd overdo it. Otherwise, you can sit in my meetings with me if you'd like. They get a little tedious sometimes.
Overview is good.
But,
Zoom,
what's that?
Zoom meetings?
Yeah, I Zoom with like this one here.
How many people Zoom in? 50?
Yeah,
These are
a
people.
good meeting for like the military one, 50 will be there. You know,
These are
that'd be a
people all
real,
over the United States.
oh yeah, this is all over the United States. That'd be hard to get us all to Washington every month for a meeting. So I'd never leave Washington at that rate with all the committees that I'm on, but
You know, I wonder though how they did it before. Is
yeah, I mean,
it a phone call?
like a conference call, you know, we've had conference calls for a while. And I like the Zoom, not everybody shows their face on Zoom, I suppose some of them are sitting at home in their pajamas, I don't know. But California people anyway, cause a lot of times like this one here, this is during my lunchtime, which I was driving, so.
Or they could be like, people have told me, they said, Craig, you really have a face for radio. So maybe that's why they don't show their face.
Right. But, I mean, I like to see the person when they're talking, you know, I mean, he just seems to get a little bit more out of it. I do anyway.
I like to have a black screen.
Yeah, but, I mean, yeah, you know, some of like our ag committee, now leadership call, you know, we had that last Monday, or the Monday before last. And, there's only about 15 of us on that, but that's all there is on the leadership side of it. You know, it's the vice chairs of the different like rural development, and then the ones that they've selected to be in the leadership, you know, so but then the main group for our ag steering committee, you know, we might have, if it's a busy meeting, you know, a lot of interest, you know, important stuff, or we're getting ready for a conference, you know, that might have 75 to 100 even. No, I mean, I've not seen 100, I've been told they could get that, but I've seen close to 75. You know, them steering committees, transportation, ag, and them bigger committees like that have more to do. There's more people involved in it. But, you know, like we actually had, well, Barry was on, you know, and then there's the RAC one too. That's a pretty big one because it's all the rural counties in America are on that. Rural Action Caucus, so that gets a lot of people on it. Which is a plus because there's a lot of people there, but sometimes they can get long, you know, because everybody's got a question or something. A lot of times if you just kind of sit there, I don't hit the raise hand button until I see if nobody's asking my question, then I'll ask, you know what I mean, hit the button then. Because we usually, you know, just do the little raise hand quote deal on there, and it's actually pretty orderly, you know. I mean, the guys that are chairs, you know, like on our ag, Terry Wilbur, he's from upstate New York. He's a farmer, you know, and all that. So, I mean, he runs a meeting real well, but in any event, they're fun.
Very good.
Usually very informational, but that's probably all I really have of any consequence.
Very good. I'll take the next 4 minutes and, kind of,
Get 6, 7, go. Where can you go?
We had the review for Molly with our DCAT, and that went well. She does a great job, but you know, we're so concerned about where that financing and the funding is going to come from because there's so many unknowns that, and she is perfectly happy with the rate. She got 4.8 out of a 5-point rating system for communication and for organization, and looking under every stone for the programs that are out there. And you really get the feeling that she truly cares about the kids and who could be left behind without these programs. So it was a good meeting. In fact, she's going to be stopping up because I got her papers that she needs to take back that we signed approving her.
She is great. She
is very good. She really, in communications, she was continually keeping everybody updated and did not bulk. Her raise is not huge, but she just wants to keep the programs going, and she does it because she cares. She's on a 30-hour week, so it's not really, you know, a full-time job for her, but she still would get the benefits that
And it's Molly.
decaterization, CCPC, Community
Partners Protecting Children,
CPPC,
CPPC.
Protecting Children.
They typically have gotten funds from
So I'll propose the
DHS or HHS that are left over for preventative programs.
Right. It's kind of always worked out, just some extra funding that she really does a good job.
I think you're the chair, DCAT.
I am.
It's kind of neat. I like the process.
Mhm.
Cause all the board members get a sheet to fill out
Yep.
with how to evaluate Molly. And then it puts a number on how you fill it out, and then it gives you
Got it right here.
Yeah.
Pass it around.
and then it kind of gives you a rating, and it's to me, a really good way to put it, number to how
Yes.
she's doing and for
She,
evaluation.
you know, and like we say, you can't be perfect 5, but you know, 4.8 is pretty good. And that was a Zoom meeting. Usually I go over to Carol and meet with Rick Hunsicker. He facilitates all of that, but we did it with the new coordinator, and we couldn't all find a day where we could all drive to Carol, so I did a Zoom meeting, but it was good. But the other thing that I had a chance to visit with some legislators about is mental health again. Does anybody remember in ISAC that we were talked to about this being 49% elected officials, and the rest of the 51% being one member representing the education system, one member who is a parent who actively is involved, relative of a child who utilizes behavioral health services, one member representing children's behavioral health providers, one member representing the board of members representing the board of supervisors, one member representing adult services, one member representing law enforcement, one member representing the judicial system. So the bottom half, supervisors are 49%, and the rest of those are 51%. The concern is, for me, and I talked to them, is actually willing to let me talk to somebody else about it, that the decisions that are made, they took it away from the elected officials, but we'll just use raises as an example. They could never have any overseeing of what that actually, the money that they're giving. Terry, are we personally in Crawford County getting any money from the state for mental health? Are we a pass through at all at this time, since we don't have
Nothing. We
So
don't
that-
budget anything for mental health.
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
We
What was
used to,
that? What
and then
was
they
that
took away
number?
that.
It
Right.
was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
And the concern always has
That
been
number?
that it's
Yeah.
so.
We gave our funds to the region.
BB, yeah, 600,000 we used to give.
Yeah.
to the
That was
region.
40, what was it, figure of 30 some dollars a head,
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
32.75 or something per
It's
person.
something like that, Kyle.
Well,
Per person.
And we have talked about that and length that I said,
Okay,
you
very
guys
good.
remember?
That's why I'm
With
bringing it
Sandy Looney, and she brought
Correct.
up a lot of questions.
correct.
And we actually talked about
But
the
that's after
government.
it all happened. Were we ever asked ahead of time how we as.
We didn't know what they were gonna do ahead of time.
See,
You know,
that's kind
Jamie
of-
and Lucas were watching it and could only tell us what they knew as it came out.
That was my
So there was
understanding too.
discussions,
It
you know,
happened without us really.
and when we got to sit down with Governor Reynolds, the group of us, we brought it up in our concern of the 49%.
Yep.
And Jack Seward, very good advocate for our mental health
Yes,
regions.
he is.
Yes, he is.
He brought it up to her and just said, hey, just what you said, you're taking the teeth out of the supervisors who are elected.
Right.
And her, at the time, she said, well, I'm not so much caught up on who the governance board is. We can make changes to address that. So she said, she more so, the bigger picture she tried to tell us was the reorganization of the 6 mental health regions and trying to combine, you know, mental health and substance abuse. And that to me is the huge win, is the behavioral health side of things.
I agree.
But I just don't think they have all the kinks ironed out or the details figured out yet.
So here is my,
Well,
I have
you know, Gene, you brought it
2
up,
minutes.
if I can.
yes, absolutely.
You brought it up one time when they were going through all this. I mean, and I don't like to use the inmates running the asylum term, but the people that actually benefit from that are the ones that are now in charge of it, instead of the people that are more the representatives of the people.
Correct.
And so that's
So I can't see how this is a, you know, our region used to just be these little ones with the dots on them, and and now this is what our region looks like. And so bigger is never better. I just don't get that. And I just feel.
So that's our region though, the gold.
Well, they said that can change a little bit, maybe the counties is what I was told.
And part of my.
It might, on the edges, might flip flop a little bit.
It might, but how long is it gonna take to get it kind of figured out? Because like we talked about from day one, these are people with needs, mental issues. And while we're trying to figure out what's best and it's always still over the board. And so these are.
Well, look at the things we've lost already.
So I had a conversation about that. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I just don't think we fixed it yet. And Kelly Garcia is trying, you know, she used the words that, you know, she was told that the mental health system in Iowa was broken and she's come up to try to fix it. And I'm still following very closely. I'm on the advisory board for mental health, but I think that's flip-flopped a little bit. I think that the folks, those ones I read off before, would be a better fit to advise, just like it used to be, and the folks that actually would be the ones that would be able to make the decision. So I'm still working on that a little bit.
Did they give you any details on?
I am.
To me, there's so many unanswered questions as far as where does the current funds in all those regions go?
Correct.
When is the timeline for the RFPs? Are all these regions gonna have to compete against each other?
And at our
Are they gonna merge, or is a private entity gonna come in and get it?
Right. And remember the last ISAC meeting, good morning, Paul, where we talked about,
You're fine.
we have buildings that are sitting empty.
My wife said
And
that,
because
too.
they don't really have the checklist of how to get them certified, they're not being utilized. Remember the county that said they've been paying utility bills all winter and they can't get any people in there because they don't have all that bugs ironed out on how to get these facilities used. Remember my problem with our building, that it was staffed, that because of the 5 questions that are asked, they couldn't find the perfect fit to get somebody in there. Remember all that? So I just wonder how many things are going between the cracks while we're waiting to figure it out. And I still say bigger is not better. And that's the only thing I wanted to say today. So I'm always last, Paul.
Hey, you're fine.
Not always, just that you got that chair.
Yeah, I call it everybody first. So that's my little deal there today. So welcome, Paul. What's going on?
So we got a nice rain out there, which is welcome.
Not enough. Not
Welcome,
enough.
there's a couple there, a couple over your way. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Not a whole lot different on the construction front. So, you know, got any definitive word on the box culvert on E16, but I'm sure we'll be hearing soon. The Manila shop is down there this morning. They're working on the floor, getting it all ready to go. So
Sure looks good.
it's gonna be nice, yeah. We get that all done, we get that concrete slab out there to connect to the street.
Went
Yeah,
by just the other day.
that's gonna be nice.
Might have to bring back the soup cook-off.
Oh, hey, I've never been.
Well,
in
the soup cook-off.
Yeah. I got started when the Buck Grove
We
shed.
did,
So-
yeah, till there was a breach in confidence.
Well,
Why
maybe
soup?
some guidelines and rules need to be published on that. I mean, I don't think anybody broke the rules because there's really no rules.
Yeah, they really weren't, that's why I call it a breach in confidence, or whatever you wanna
I
say.
never got in on one.
I
of
do
those.
think how that lane coming in there, so you don't go around the road, it's just gonna be really slick.
Yeah, it's just all gonna work out nice, yeah, and I've given the information to Colin, you know, we need to do the land swap between the city and the county at some point in time here. And officially, you know, when we move out of our building, give them our building, and we get the lots to the west, and good deal.
I think so.
All gonna work out
Great
great,
deal.
so, yeah,
Saves them money, saves us money.
yeah, the whole thing is
Kind of a win-win-win.
is really fitting out, good, fitting in good, so, yeah.
Like when the plan comes together.
I do too, yeah, it's always nice when the puzzles, when all the pieces are there, you haven't got one piece missing. H Avenue, I was out there yesterday, it looks fantastic, a lot of compliments on that too, over the weekend, on Saturday night, you know, people from that area are really impressed with that, and that bridge that we're working on, we're doing same thing we did the Dean Hunter's Bridge over there, it's just It's working out really nice, you know.
I love it.
So,
Open the window, I like it.
you know, this morning, that was nice.
Nice to have
The rain coming down.
I'll fall asleep here with
I
that.
know.
I didn't even wanna come in.
It's been so long, you just don't, you know.
It's too loud.
Yeah.
Calm it
it's
down,
nice.
Beth.
It's nice. But anyhow, yeah, so that's going good. The bridge is all but done. They just gotta put the deck on it. They're doing the grading to it, so they'll be out of there probably in another week or so. And then we're gonna go over to, work on the west side bridge, and then the bridge crew, they gotta run down and build a slab for our new fuel tank. We gotta build a new salt storage thing down. I've been all that kind of bouncing around, get some of that stuff done. So inroads while they're here, they're gonna do that, asphalt in there. I got a proposal.
Is that
for
gonna be between the buildings? What you
It'll be
talked
to the
about?
west, it'll be to the west.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not enough room between.
I didn't know if there was.
buildings,
I
no.
didn't think
So
so.
the fuel tank there'll be a service door and then walk right out. The fuel tank will be right there. We're buying a brand new dual wall tank. And then we're gonna put the salt in the bin to the west of that.
Okay.
So just come in and they can load the trucks and push them out. So, nice.
Yeah,
Yep.
nice.
Yep, it'll turn out real nice.
Didn't know if that fuel tank was gonna go in the middle there. You'd said something about.
We kind of looked at maybe that, but this would be a lot better accessibility for them. And so Tim and Sean and I and Jared all met down this morning. And so, yeah,
Cool.
so that's going well. And yeah, so we're gonna go from the Rocky Run project over to West Side, and we're gonna put in one of those temporary bridges. So 3 spans.
From out there on the
Yep.
bale pile.
Yeah, the ones that we bought from.
Cool.
It'll be a kind of a temporary, permanent.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a great.
We're gonna make it permanent.
I
Temporary.
think it'll be a perfect fit for that low volume.
Only 2 residents, right? Yeah. So, so yeah, that's where we're at that. The roadside crew is seeding, the grass is growing, the rain is falling, so it's all good. It's good. Item 4, there's the secondary road budget amendment. So this is the DOT budget amendment. So it's the same thing we're doing here with the auditor's budget. It's just that I have to do it with the DOT, so that's what we have.
Yeah.
Right.
Motion to approve item number 4.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on motion? If not, I'll call a vote. All in favor, aye.
I,
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion has approved.
Oh,
yeah, my window's
Seen
open.
that for a while.
I can feel that all the way over here. Okay, Jen, you sign right there.
Thank you. I always hated it if I signed a big piece of paper in the wrong
I think
place.
something similar to that, 19 to 2023.
It is blowing in. It is blowing in. Gene's gonna get wet.
I enjoyed it for about a minute, but, yeah.
I can feel it all.
I
over.
can. It's all good.
Careful what you wish for.
If that's what it took.
Give me a
to-
raincoat.
Thank you. I'll
You
wear
know,
it.
when engineers do, when this happens, they run out, they watch where the water runs, you know?
Oh, gosh.
You gotta go see if the water's going.
All that
Good
seeds do.
That was good luck.
Okay, and then you need to sign Sherry right above me.
We should get it.
And then, no, you're all right, because this actually, it's all done
Where's the bridge crew
electronically.
going next?
They're going over by West Side, be north on 380th to the first road, north of Highway 30, and you go back west, excuse me. It's a dead end road.
North on 380, I don't ride as fast as I talk. To what?
Go north on where the towers are, on that road, go north, and then it's right before the tracks or right after the tracks. Go to the west and you
Okay.
can't go
You go
any,
west about
you run into a farm place.
Gotcha.
Got all that? I can drop you a pen if you want.
Nope, I'm good. Yeah, I can find it. I'm just getting off it.
So it's just it's a dead end road with 2 houses at the end of it, so it's a perfect fit for that. You know, 3 span will fit in there, just
Gives them a good solid bridge for,
yeah,
well, ever, close enough to forever.
yeah,
And
all
it's
steel,
cost
it's all
effective.
steel,
And cost effective too.
very cost effective, yeah.
I like it, I like it.
Yep. The next item is this is that little tidbit of Ridge Road that I talked about. We have to do a resolution approving or requesting the change. So that's what that is.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 5.
Second.
Resolution. All right. Any further discussion? It is a resolution, so I'll need to call the vote separately. Kyle? Greg,
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion has been approved.
There you go, and you decide on the first top, the top vote.
Chair man,
Like yellow, I don't like red.
You want me to change that chairperson? I can't, I'm sorry.
Chair man, I'm good. I just need to-
No, we've just been saying chair, but.
I could do that.
But no, it's fine.
It's all right. Notice that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You sign that, then I've already got a resolution number, so I don't know if you wanna, we'll just make a copy
Make
of
a
it.
copy, yeah.
Get it up to you, the original. Then item 4, so I was over there, met with Monty Creighton, who's the mayor, and, talked about the street proposals. You know, we had that 4 blocks of Fourth Avenue that we were looking at, either seal coat or asphalt. We're supposed to meet with them today. You still want to, or we can call it off, but I kind of like to go over there. At least we can drive it. We go sit in City Hall and talk about it. But then the other thing that came up is, the county actually owns,
So from the board, Gene, you're going, Gene, Dave?
Gene and Dave are gonna go. But I'm gonna pass this out because there was another thing over by the church.
No, I don't. I would just verify who's going.
Just pass a few of these around. There's one there, there's a couple
That
there.
way anyway. if you're
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, but anyhow, so this is by that little bridge
Oh, yeah.
just to the west of St. Anne's Church over there.
Okay,
So the county actually owns, okay, lots 1, 2, and 3.
Really?
Those are Crawford County, then the others is a
Why do we
public
own
street.
them?
How'd we get that?
I have no idea.
Lucky.
So mine, he says, well, they're kind of cleaning up, and the church did a tree removal and clean up to the north, on that channel. He said, well, we're kind of wondering about cleaning this up, and I said, well, you can do this, and this, and he says, well, it's actually the county's, as it is.
really?
Well, would you look at that?
So we can look at it, and it's, what's happened is over the years, they've just dumped broken concrete in there, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, now it looks, this time of the year, it looks as worse, you know, as bad as it's gonna look. Spraying everything exposes all those things out there. I don't know what, if anything, but I wanted to share it with you that, you know, probably a few days of channel work, but it's so deep.
It is deep.
You know, the best way to do it is get somebody in there with a long reach hoe and just kind of straighten things out a little bit.
Does Monty say anything about the city having any interest in doing anything with it, or? Do you have any
Just kind
ideas?
of more of a clean up urban, you know, clean up.
Can we clean it up and then give it to the city?
That would be up to you guys. This has
I
nothing
mean,
to do with roads, so.
That's
it's
what I mean,
just
why
3 blocks.
hold property,
or
we're
3
not gonna
lots.
do nothing with
Yeah,
it?
I mean, we have no.
Suppose that was sometime they were gonna have a shed or something there.
Well,
I
it's a-
wonder
it's a
why we would
stream.
own that.
It's a stream, and the city of Vale owns everything to the south and to the west of it. I mean, it would make sense to just do a quick claim deed and
Yeah,
claim it to the city of Vale.
we'll do our due diligence and.
Are they opposed to that, do you think?
I don't
You don't know.
Oh, when you ask, when you see them today.
Once
you'll
it's
see-
give it to you?
Well, they haven't asked us to do anything all these years as
Clean it
far
up for
as
them
that.
and
They
then
would
say
even-
here.
Yeah,
Do you think they've known that for a long time, or is it something?
I don't think they did.
Okay, all right, so,
I'm sure
Well, we
somebody,
didn't know.
somebody
Well,
probably.
well, yeah.
I'm sure
yeah.
somebody probably did, but I mean, it's mostly ditch.
Or a river, or
It's a creek, it's mostly a ditch, yeah, it's just, you know. So they cleaned, I think what brought us up is that they cleaned up everything to the north, and it's like, wow, that looks really nice, maybe we should do that. Going
Yes,
to the
yeah.
Who
south,
owns that property?
and who owns that?
Yeah.
It's the county, I think
That
that's,
is,
Interesting that the county ended up with it, not the city, like if somebody just wanted,
I don't, it
How that
is,
happened.
it is, it'd be interesting to maybe go back and check
as you said,
the,
abstract
Would
or.
it be through the
It would be,
railroad years ago plot?
yeah.
Maybe the boundary lines of the city changed and, or you know what I mean, a long time ago, and who knows, I don't know.
well, I bet we could find out.
I bet we could, I bet I know, we
Buggers
could find
were-
out for you.
How far do we
We
want to go back?
annexed some property back.
Well, we're
Yeah.
getting mushrooms that grow in that, we keep our own little mushroom.
Probably be stuff in.
what's the
So-
big number 15?
Them out yet? They wouldn't be
The
out.
Section
That
50,
section.
or block, that'll be the
Oh,
block.
block in
That'd be
town,
block in
yeah.
May or must have.
Yeah, I would just-
Late April.
My
Yeah.
suggestion would be ask.
You gotta get
the
rain.
mayor today, ask them if they would be interested in.
Yeah, they're gonna meet with
With
us.
claim deed and that over
Yeah.
to them, just see if they'd be interested in that.
We'll
I mean, we
ask.
could, we could do our due diligence and make it presentable to them, you know, clean up it some and then just give it to them. I think that's the way to handle it.
We don't need a nuisance ordinance against us.
No.
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get the answer.
That would be very
I know.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. Before it
We'd
becomes a
blame you,
nuisance ordinance,
Madam
Paul, we
Chair.
wanna take care of it.
What's that?
Before it becomes a nuisance ordinance, we wanna take care of it, that we're not taking
Okay.
over our property.
Yeah.
We've been.
I mean, it doesn't
on
look
audit
terrible,
for
it's
weed
just-
control, too.
Your guys
Oh, gosh.
track or the.
Well,
estimated cleaned up
see, it's-
pretty quick.
I mean, it's pretty deep. That's why I said it'd be better if you had a long reach hoe, because we're gonna, like, for us to get down in there, we gotta get lower. We don't have that reach, and we've done this before, like on some of these EWP projects where, you know, it just, if you start tearing that bank up and you bench down, you've messed everything up and you gotta put it back. It's a lot cheaper just to hire somebody who's got a long reach hoe and just have
Who
it
else,
down
who
there.
other than Jeff's got a long reach?
I think there's a guy down by Dunlap has one, but I mean, Jeff's, yeah, does a great job, you know.
That's the only one I've ever seen around
Yeah,
here.
yeah, there's a few of them around. So,
Have we seen the documentation that we actually own it?
Let me look.
well, it shows it on GIS.
Okay.
I mean, that's as far as I went.
All right.
That's what I was.
I mean, I didn't go do a deed search or anything like that,
Just kind of,
but those first three lots are
Updated.
according to that.
okay, all right.
So, okay, and then the fence line trial is next week, and I guess, you know, whatever the judge decides, we move on.
All
Gonna be done in
paperwork.
one day? You expect it to be done in one day, the trial, everything?
Oh, I hope so, yeah, so it's at 10 o'clock, so I
Well, I
probably,
guess-
I either won't be here or have to be here really early, 'cause-
Oh,
Do you wanna come at 9:30?
we could do a 9 o'clock. I mean, we could start off with Paul and then you all
yeah,
could do your,
probably be better because,
All right.
that way,
Make the
there's
note.
no,
yeah,
that
Yeah,
sounds
good
good,
idea,
Paul.
Terry.
Yep.
yeah, so it'll be like Sean and Brandon and myself will be all called.
Well,
witnesses, so.
You know, when that process started, this is what we said, we would just put it in the judge's hands and the outcome is the
Yeah.
outcome.
That's exactly
Our
right.
duty is to try to put it where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
You know, and we do our due diligence and if the judge decides,
Absolutely.
it is what it is, but at least
I don't
we
think it
got,
was up to us.
we got legal
Yeah.
documentation that says this is, well,
Yeah,
Do you have 10?
okay,
Public
last
hearing.
question, when does weed commissioner start?
when what?
Weed
Me.
commissioner,
Was first,
April 15th?
I think it's the first.
First.
I hate to cut
Okay.
this short, but we do have a
Okay.
10 o'clock public hearing.
Just-
okay,
I'm sorry.
okay. Political campaign sign, okay, I was called on this,
Is that mine?
and no, I'm not gonna show who it is
Okay.
intentionally, but that was considered a right-of-way encroachment
Okay.
by the person that called in.
Mhm.
And I said, boy, that's really kind of borderline, but you know,
Right.
it is on the right of way side of the fence.
Yep.
But I don't have time to be the right of way cop on that,
No.
on political signs. So that's why I was asking the weed commissioner. I could just say, hey, call him and he can go chase it down.
Yeah,
But it's in the right of way by just
I get
a
it.
smidgen, but
But if it's on
I'll
the
talk to you
fence
later.
itself,
I'll talk to
Right,
you
if
later
it's on
about
the
it and then I
fence
can
itself.
contact whoever that
Yeah,
is
it'd be
and we'll
fine.
get
Yeah.
them to move it.
so we got another one, you know, just a few miles away on the fence, you
Okay.
know,
if
but it's on the inside of
fence,
the fence. So.
Is on the fence, isn't on the fence fine?
I think it is, yeah.
I think
I
that's
honestly, this would be, I mean, we have calf, you know, guys put calf show
Oh,
stuff
sure,
and
yeah.
farmers put, you know, seed corn day plot things, yeah. So I don't know how nitpicky we wanna
Yeah,
get,
seed
but
corn
I'm not
days.
gonna be that
Political
guy.
And for
signs have
years,
been a,
You know,
yeah.
oh, this year.
Just
Yeah.
this year
When I
is
talked to the
just,
state
We've
guy,
already experienced it.
last campaign, they said, unless it's blatant, like you set it up right on the edge of the road, if somebody doesn't complain, they don't usually pay
Right,
much attention. But
yeah,
as soon as somebody complains,
That's
they gotta
exactly
go
right.
according
Yeah,
to
they
the
need to
rules.
move.
yeah, so this probably needs to be moved.
probably.
Right.
And, but, you know, can we have whoever that is?
I will,
Can I
if
direct
you
your
know
calls
who
to
it
them?
is, I
No,
will.
I know who this is.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will come talk to you and
Okay.
I will address
Yeah,
them. I
okay,
can help
thank
with
you,
that. Yeah,
thank
that's
you,
no
yeah.
problem.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing we want to make sure of also, is that everybody's treated fairly and
They'll have to
equally.
be the same.
That
Yep.
Yep,
doesn't
it is.
That was the
matter.
point here is, well,
It
it's
is.
technically in the right of way, but again, you know,
And he,
uh,
yeah, that's.
Yeah.
never.
I mean, if
Hold the
it's
line
a,
on that, and anything that's inside of a fence, we don't go out and physically measure the right of way.
no,
If it's inside the fence, and it's not on the fence, it's gotta be moved.
right,
If we see it, we'll let you know about it, but I don't know who we get a hold of to let them know. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Hate
you,
to
Paul.
cut you short, but,
I don't like to
we're
do
good. All
those.
right,
but I
sorry, I
will.
didn't.
Make a motion to open the public
All right,
hearing
thank
in
you.
regards to the budget.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Public hearing is now open for the
Thanks, Paul.
budget amendment, fiscal year 23-24. All right.
Any written?
Was there any written or oral objections?
No,
None?
I haven't gotten any,
Okay, anybody,
unless there's any in this room.
yep, anybody in the room or on Zoom that wants to address the budget amendment? All right. So, hearing none?
You here for the budget amendment, public hearing?
I was just here to listen.
Okay.
Do we need to have everybody sign in then?
I will note who's here in the audience. Is it just
And
Paul Outhouse and
Who's
Sharon?
who control it? That's the only other one. That might be.
Do we have,
LEC.
do we need
That's
to
what I
have,
was
a-
thinking, LEC.
do we have, need to have a name on that since it is a public hearing?
That's what I think, since Roger sent you a text. That's
Can
my
we
guess.
identify that, so we have, just because we're having a public hearing, kind of part of that process?
Is Bonnie our Bonnie?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Our Bonnie.
From,
Attorney's
Attorney's
money.
office. And then control. Who are they? Have you asked?
Yes, it is your Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Bonnie. At least you know you're our Bonnie.
You're our Bonnie.
That's right.
Just wait for control.
Control, you
Control
there?
just needs to identify yourself for our public hearing. You're signing in.
Amy, Susie, is that you?
Maybe it's just,
They are in training, so I doubt it's them.
Right, they're not here.
it might just be.
Oh, that's right, they are. I seen that on Facebook.
Oh, microphone's on.
Okay.
What is it?
Maybe it's the chief deputy himself.
Are they gonna speak?
He's bashful.
Or they
Their
can
mic's
text.
on.
They can text.
Maybe they aren't even sitting there, they just left it on.
That could be.
Control, you there? Maybe not.
We go forward without identifying the audience in a public hearing.
Up to you, your chair.
I'm not.
Message to you, control to you, direct message, jail, it's the jail.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll go one step further. Does it matter the individuals?
Probably Janet.
Janet? Do we just put Janet's name or do we just put the jail?
I can.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Public hearing is now open. So,
Cause I did ask her a question about the
perfect.
amendment, that includes them. I mean, that debt to the hospital.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if there's a clear and concise answer to the,
You got that down to 50, didn't you?
Yes,
but some of those were paid already. And some of those were not our prisoners at the time.
we need to know that.
I know, and I don't know that. Jim's on vacation.
Okay.
And I don't know what he knows.
What do we want to do about that?
So as of now, with the budget amendment that is
Presented.
presented, it's 90,000.
Right,
And that's not
right.
even
We
close.
probably need to at least get it down to your number.
Yeah,
Let's lower that 90 to, because we can do that during this process, lower that number.
down to the 50.
And it will still potentially be lower than that, yeah.
Correct.
Right.
But 50's a workable number.
So let's move that number to 50,000 to 90,000, from
Is there
90,000.
an extra copy of that in the,
Michelle, are you hearing this?
I might have mine.
There's a folder, there was 5 of them.
She walking
I
in.
didn't grab one.
She's coming.
I might have
I
one.
didn't grab one either.
Here,
I wasn't listening.
That's okay.
Say my name.
Come in and, I didn't know if you were watching on there. So they wanted that sheriff's one, medical treatment to 50,000.
Okay. From 90 to 50. Okay.
Okay. That'll help.
Is that the only one? So
So why are we
far,
lowering that again? I mean, cause it was 90,000 was the actual bill, right? That was the actual amount.
That was
The
the amount
hospital lowered the
itemized.
amount.
Well, but they've been going through it and like there was a $42,000 bill that it wasn't even a prisoner. Like she was OR'd, so she was out on her own recognizance, but they were trying to bill the county for it.
So I mean, but this has been years ago, right?
Right, so they
Some
were
of them
going,
were.
some of them were.
Do you still have that list?
I didn't have a list.
Do you still have it?
I don't know if I do have it either.
I just
Some of those
know,
corrections within the billing itself.
Right, I just thought that would have been corrected
Yeah,
at that time,
Right.
years ago.
Yeah.
So-
right,
'cause that was an up-to-date list that they had given, to us.
well, but they were trying to bill you for things that weren't our,
Do we
Our
know if any of
prisoners.
that, is that 50,000, we can verify that is our responsibility or not?
I can't
We
answer
can't,
that.
I don't know. I did speak with Janet, and she's in charge of the jail,
Mhm.
for the sheriff's department. And Jim was looking into some of that, and I don't know if he ever did have a conversation with the hospital about some of those charges that were indicated that maybe wasn't a prisoner at the time of the charge, was released on their own recognizances, or,
There were some that he had
Yeah.
asked me about to check.
and some
That
were
were
paid
from like in
already.
23
Mhm.
and 24, some had already been paid, some,
By the individuals or by?
no, by
By
us.
us.
Yeah, so I don't think you can look at that list
That
and
list
say,
isn't accurate.
no.
I wish we would have had an opportunity to get together and discuss that, so we could have gone back to the
I know,
hospital
I
and
thought Jim was
identified
taking
it.
care of it, but.
Yeah, I thought,
I
it
don't
sounded
know.
like he was having a meeting with them last week.
I don't
I don't know
know.
whether
With
he
Aaron
did or
and-
didn't,
With Aaron?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that happened or not. Janet wasn't aware of it happening. Sorry, Janet, I don't wanna speak for you.
And I'm
but-
surprised that someone, from the hospital wouldn't have reached out to us and let us
I know.
know that we've reached another number.
Right,
Right.
Because we have had good communication, so this
Yeah.
is unfortunate, I think.
It
a
is.
little bit.
so making the move to 50 probably alleviates a lot of it, but I
Yeah.
think before we pay anything,
I agree.
I think there needs to be a solid investigation and.
So
we need to-
my question is that 42,000, the person was a person in our jail system.
Somebody from the
And
sheriff's.
so they
office.
were ill and complaining of needing to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Were taken out there by
Chair.
the
They were-
department.
And obviously.
And they said, well, we're gonna let you out of custody so that you're no longer one of our patients.
Yep, so then it goes to that person and not the county.
So would there, like, if they were on Medicaid, because that's part of the problem, that doesn't take care of it if they're
We
incarcerated?
need to get that
So
fixed.
upon being dropped off at the emergency room, did their
In the
Medicaid
process.
possibly, or their?
That
I don't know. I don't know the
Yeah, I
process
don't
to
know that
reinstate those things,
Right,
so.
I don't
think
either,
that's
but
our
those
Yeah, I
Our
don't
Right.
know.
responsibility or
Our responsibility is to,
pay for any person we have in jail.
Yeah,
If they're released, they're released.
Yeah.
Right,
right, Dave has a
But by
question.
approving the 50,000 today, doesn't necessarily mean that we can still go through and
Right.
narrow it down and
Right.
make sure that we're
Right.
paying for what we actually
Correct.
owe.
right, right.
It's
It
not.
doesn't mean that'll get spent.
That's
Right.
what I want
Right,
to do.
yeah.
I know that
So,
you got it
so
down
what
to
happens
50,
in that
so-
scenario?
It stays in the general fund,
It just stays at the general. fund.
yes.
Okay,
They
so
don't
we
agree to
could
less
put the
than
50,000 in, and we
50,000.
find out it's zero, our balance just went up 50,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
is it still in the general?
It just stays.
But I
It's
think
just
50 is a
just
where
better
it's
number.
getting
spending.
allowance of where it
Right.
can
It's a
be
better
spent
number.
from.
50 is definitely a better number,
Yep.
that's for sure about that. All right.
I like
Follow up.
zero a lot better,
I
but
like
we need to
zero
make
better.
sure that we're
I
paying
know.
our bills too, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right, any other changes that anybody's aware of over the time that it's been posted?
And I never did hear anything from conservation about their general supplemental, changing. So I wouldn't know what that number should be, so
and
probably just keep it
I think
and it
just
won't
keep
be
it
spent.
if they hire somebody new right away and the
They may
insurance
need
stays the
it,
same, they're gonna need it, so.
right, and that's all they can spend it on.
Yeah.
Is very specific things in supplemental, so in general supplemental. So, that helps
So I
with
think
that
maybe I'll
process.
just thought that through, I thought it's better off leaving than it is my, so
Okay,
we'll just leave it alone.
okay, that's what I wondered since I hadn't heard from him, so.
Those are the discussions we need to have.
Yeah, and then you can see what Paul's portion is, and that some of the funds are covered by new revenue, that 300,000. So.
Okay.
Which is a typical process.
Yep.
That revenue, goes through his department for his projects. Extra, additional revenue from other sources.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only one.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'll go fix that resolution quick.
thank you. And rerun,
Yeah, I'll fix that.
do that too, whenever you can, and we'll get them to sign before the end of the meeting.
Okay,
Right.
sounds good.
If nothing else.
Any further, otherwise we'll, call a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Dozark, something.
Thank you.
Great, all right. Need a vote, all in favor of closing the public hearing? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The vote side, public hearing is now closed. Alrighty. Next item is discussion, take action on resolution 2024-10 appropriations to departments.
Motion to approve appropriations to department.
Let them move.
So yeah,
Alrighty.
sorry, that appropriation will change for,
With the
the
change.
sheriff, yeah.
With the
Yeah,
changes.
so we'll have a new
We will
resolution
not
that will
sign it
be
until it's
updated, so.
Alrighty.
This one indicates an increase to departments of 1.4 million.
Right.
So nobody that's on that list had a increase. If they're not on the list, there's no increase to their department, is that? Am I
Right.
reading there, or is there like public
Right.
health not on ours because they got a different board?
Nope, they didn't have an increase.
It's,
They didn't
Yeah,
ask for
there's the dip.
spending authority.
all right, it's a resolution, so I'll call the vote. Ty?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. A resolution has been approved.
Please tell me who motioned in second.
I second it.
Kyle,
Cal made the motion.
motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
All affirmative votes. This
Second,
item. Discussion, take action on resolution 2024-11, transfer of funds from general basic to capital projects. Fund 1524. Alrighty. Any discussion on that? Any questions?
This is 100,000 that go help with capital improvement project, so
Yep.
just to clarify, so I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you,
Second.
Dave. Second, Dave. Resolution again. Craig,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Resolution has been approved. Next item is discuss, take action, environmental health 28E with Carroll County.
That was in our packet.
Correct. Everybody agreed that that's what this was Colin had called me and that was our understanding of what we had agreed to do, that the way that verbiage was.
If you guys remember, there's a few changes to it too, like, we're
Change the
gonna,
dollar amount?
we changed some dollar amounts for what it costs for like perk test and,
Oh, it's right here.
and well inspections. And then we also are gonna look at, we put it in there that we analyze it every year. In like that August timeframe,
Yep.
so that ahead of budgeting, we can kind of make it right one way or the other if we're long or short with between Carol and us. But it's something that we wanna look at every year so that it don't get ahead of us.
So we've had this 2080 in place for quite a
A
while.
Yes.
long
we have.
time.
A long time. And
And it just kind of got out of whack financially
during COVID.
well, especially during
During
COVID, but,
COVID.
as far as what they were paying in to cover it and what we were, so they were actually, we were benefiting from them kicking more in,
They were losing
Right.
money on
I
our.
don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
so.
Be more
That
accurate
sounds
as far
good.
as what work
But
is
I'm saying
actually
people in Carroll
done.
County.
Yeah.
Right,
So-
exactly.
So it seems fair, we have more
Right, and we'll have more insight on what our claims actually are
Yeah,
towards
rather than
that.
just a flat amount, and
Yep.
we didn't have as many, whatever she comes over to check. So I think that 28E is, more fit for what we actually do. So we need a motion to approve that 28E agreement as presented.
Move we approve 2080 agreement with Carroll County.
Great.
Second.
Oh, go ahead.
Second,
I don't matter.
Right, any further discussion on that, motion? If not, I'll call the vote, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. 28E agreement with Carroll County has been approved. Alrighty, discussion take
One without a
action.
draft on it, I'm assuming
Be nice.
it would be nice.
Is the insurance plan design and
Can I ask
HSM
Bonnie?
contribution rates.
Yeah.
I see.
Bonnie, can we get a copy of this without draft on it, please? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was doing something else. What were you needing?
The 2080 agreement with Carroll County, I wondered if we could get a copy without draft on it. A
Sure.
clean one. I
How
appreciate
soon do you
that.
need it?
Whenever you get it over here is fine.
Thank
They've already
you.
taken action, so
At your convenience.
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Welcome, Amy. What's the update?
So you guys did the HSA plan and need to figure out what contribution the county will be doing for the employees. The other thing is Terry and I talked to Holmes Murphy yesterday. And they recommend maybe finding a bank around here that the employees can set up an account with, and I think it would probably be easier to just have one bank that everyone would go to, so I don't know, we call around, I don't know what interest rates are or anything like that on an HSA. I feel like,
They're all pretty similar.
yeah, so, so that's a couple of things that need to discuss and, kind of have an idea of what contributions are gonna look like to that HSA. And then,
What's typical?
Yeah, all the same,
And
all
that's-
the Murphy say.
so
I mean,
that's what,
some companies make no contributions today,
Yeah.
it's like
Correct.
all the employees.
right,
Yeah.
and he said what most of them do is, say you're offering the traditional $1,500 plan. And, so anyone that's taken the HSA, maybe giving them the difference. He said that is real
Say
typical.
that again?
So the rates for the traditional $1,500 plan,
Mhm.
that's basically rates you're going to be doing for everyone. However, if they go to the HSA, it's cheaper. So just giving them the difference.
Oh.
Difference,
Gotcha.
Okay.
So
track
it's
that.
still the same cost.
right.
It's just they're going with
Gotcha.
the cheaper plan and just giving them the difference.
Do you have an estimate on what that difference would be, just a $500 cheaper for the?
So, I mean, for
That
the
makes sense.
single plan, it would be like $1,200 a year. And for, the family, 250 times 12.
600-ish. 3,000.
So,
3,000, yeah, thank you.
So let me think of this.
so that is one option. I mean, you could do for a single 500, family 1,000, but I mean, yeah, there's definitely different ways. But he said what the most common practice is, especially if you're doing two different plans, is just give them the difference.
Cause there's no advantage to steer people into HSA or the other one. It's let them make up the choice themselves and have it
Right, I mean, because
equal.
with the traditional plan, they have a $1,500 deductible. Some people, if, they might be more comfortable with that. The other one, it's $3,500 deductible. Maybe they never use it, so they're
Especially if
like,
they're young and healthy.
right, so if you're gonna be putting money into account, that's the way for them to go, because they could be saving some major dollars.
But for us to put in more than the difference, kind of steers people that way for an
Right,
HSA because you're
Right.
kicking in more funds.
right.
Correct.
And 1,200 for single
Keep it
and,
equal, the difference.
I think even equal is huge.
yeah, I mean, and that's a very good contribution, I feel.
That's very
Yeah.
good contribution.
Oh, yeah.
But the other thing is, I mean, I guess to consider is with their traditional plan, yes, you're paying that, but some of that is being funded into the fund account. So it's not like you're actually not everyone is using that money. So you could do, you know, like, something less than the actual difference. Because
Oh, okay.
of that self, the
Correct.
partial self-funding part
Sometimes
of
it takes me a while to catch up to you.
it. Right. Well, trust me, there's other portions of this conversation
Oh, yeah.
that hurt my brain, so I
We've
know it's
been-
gonna hurt
Well,
yours.
it's hurting your brain.
We've been talking a lot
Oh
in the
my gosh.
last
And
couple of
here's the deal, you
days.
guys have been talking a couple of days and, here we are with just a, 2-minute conversation and to make a decision that is,
Right, and we
Really?
only put it on for an action,
okay.
but we're not expecting, I'm not
I
expecting
appreciate
an
that.
action because I knew you'd want to.
You know, it's.
Just like I
critical.
said last week, this decision needs to be
What do you
made
think would be a fair number
quickly,
then?
so
With
we
that.
wanted
Just for
to.
topic of discussion, I guess, does anyone
Talk about the difference,
think
but
that you
said
want to have
maybe a
the
little less
employees
there.
have some skin in the
How
game,
much
meaning
would
that
less?
we'll
I mean, you
contribute
could
the
do 500
difference
and 1,000.
only if you contribute a certain minimum dollar amount.
I don't know if you can force them to contribute.
Yeah.
Well, we're not forcing.
It sounds like you are.
I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, if there's lots of funds available that we can contribute, then you
Because
contribute.
their contribution is determined by the IRS, I
Right.
believe.
Yes, it is,
Their maximum contribution is.
Maximum, correct.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that,
Of
though.
course.
That might be a Holmes Murphy question.
And those are the things, the reason we need a little time to kind of, those questions will come as we.
What, so you're saying matching? Matching their
Sure.
contribution
Yeah.
kind of thing? Got it.
So if the IRS says the maximum they will contribute is $800, and the employee says, I want that $800, the county's gonna say, I'll put that $800 into. It's not forcing anybody, let's say, I get what you're saying.
So you're thinking more of like a 401k match. You put something in, we'll match what you're putting in, not just giving
Up to.
Right.
$1,000.
Not just us contributing and you put in
Right.
nothing.
Right.
Right.
Up to $15.
Dave has his finger up.
So I guess, I get what you're saying, Craig, and just for
Yeah,
discussion.
I was just asking, like I said, I was just.
But yet we don't
No,
make,
ask all the questions
but if
now.
you don't do
Ask
the
them all.
15, we don't make the $1,500 plan contribute, that's their plan and they take it. Why would we make the HSA if it's apples to apples and cost contribute?
Right,
Very logical.
Keep the deal
way to think
square.
about it, Dave, very logical way to think about that.
there you go.
I'm just
Right.
thinking out loud.
So the difference in the two plans is actually the out of pocket. The difference, I don't know if anybody has their lovely book.
Yeah, I do.
It's in there,
For
page
some
20,
reason, I keep
page
mine
20.
at home.
Okay.
Mr. Insurance made it feel.
Why do I keep mine at home? I don't know.
You know, I got
So, and
Because I know
that's
Dave's got
the, so
Share.
that's where it
20.
affects
Thank you.
the county. Is the difference in the employee deductible and the well-marked deductible. And the employee out of pocket and the well-marked out of pocket.
Ideally, your HSA is going to be where you go to get that out of pocket. Where you normally take it out of your pocket.
So the out of pocket matches the deductible
Correct.
on those plans. On the plan 14, they do not.
I remember when we went to the HSA at my former employee and it was quite, change is always hard and we
It is
did
hard.
not have the choice. And so,
Oh,
yeah, and I remember when the city did it also.
Yeah.
I remember the city when they went to it. But I also, remember that there are strict guidelines, with the IRS about taking the money. And I can tell you that people came and just took their money out of their HSA. Don't name any names, remember what it was. Just took it out.
Before we make a
Thank you very
decision
what?
Yeah,
today,
Well, you would have to put a penalty on that. I mean, there's strict guidelines on
I know
how you
there is.
get the money
I know
out.
there is.
But if they did take the money out, I would imagine that they had like a 30% penalty or tax
It's
penalty
a
on
savings
that.
account, they're a savings account, that's not like a CD. The penalty would come if you got audited with the IRS or,
But they would have had to claim that.
I would think so. I'm just saying, just giving you the.
So what you were saying there.
Well.
But the money is theirs. I mean, the money is
That's
theirs.
exactly right.
So
That's why
I like
we-
the difference.
they can do whatever.
not for the bank personnel to say, oh, you can't just take that out without a receipt. That's when you get, your tax.
Right.
involved.
the money you take from your HSA to pay for or be reimbursed for qualified medical expenses is tax-free. If you take money before you're 65 from your HSA for non-medical costs or medical costs that don't qualify, you'll have to pay the federal income tax and a 20% tax bill.
Yeah, I figured there was some kind of
Thank you,
penalty.
so that's when they got hit,
Yeah.
was when they
Yeah.
filed their taxes.
And I don't think that they maybe necessarily understood that, and it was not for bank personnel to explain that. So,
I mean,
Wow,
HSAs are nice.
They are
Right,
nice.
they are.
Just to be used for deductibles for, vision,
Thank
you.
for
Thank you.
dental. And, I mean, for
Long-term
ours,
care payment.
long-term
Yeah.
care, your,
Yeah.
right, your premiums you can take out
Yeah.
of your HSA.
Yeah,
when you get older.
But it's convenient. I mean, ours, me and my wife, I mean, we have a card, so you take the card and
Yeah.
take it to wherever you go and swipe it. And they send the information to the HSA, qualify that it's an expense. And
Boom, boom, boom.
it's done.
It is nice. And if
so
you-
it's kind of like flexible spending account,
Correct.
but not, I mean, kind
You can
of,
take it with you when you
You can
leave
take it early.
your
Yeah.
employer.
I can
Take it
testify to all
before
that
65
stuff,
for
and you can use it to pay
non-medical
your,
Yeah.
social security,
That's right, I lost that non-medical.
but I don't.
Kyle.
Kyle,
Oh, yeah.
Getting back to the contributions, I mean, you said there's some level that's gonna be kind of, we can't. Let me put this in, if every employee takes this HSA, will that be jeopardizing, and with the counties, will that jeopardize our self-insurance pool? I mean, if we put in a 1,200 for a single and 3,000 for the family, and every employee does that, will our self-insurance pool not,
Good question.
will it not pool and will not stay full?
well, and that's the thing, so what I'm saying with that 1,200 and 3,000, that is including, and on page, what is this, page 21? So these rates have a built-in claims funding, so that claims funding amount is actually going into our pool.
Okay.
So,
Offset.
so maybe that is something you wanna consider, maybe
Right.
not do the full
This is
1,200.
Mhm.
Less than that amount, because that money is going into the pool. So if you wanna take that into consideration,
Are you talking that claims funding line?
yeah,
Yeah,
so for a family, for a single.
because that is building up the fund.
and then not our fund, it goes to EBS, who is our third party.
Oh, see the difference?
So, yeah, yep.
Who comes up with all this stuff?
Insurance people.
Them
Actuaries,
people that like numbers.
Yes,
lots.
Cause I mean, we gotta be
Not me,
somewhat
not me.
smart about this, so we
We
keep our
do.
pool
We do, that's why I'm glad
full,
it's,
or at least,
Right.
where people don't, when they dive in, they don't hit their nose on the bottom,
Right,
And
exactly.
people being us, cause we'd be the ones. that-
Exactly.
I mean, the thing about an HSA that I love is I think people are a little tad bit more careful about how they're spending the money, because an HSA makes you be more consumer driven than just, oh, I have a
Let's go
I
to
have
the
a cut,
ER.
let's go to the ER for this
yeah,
cut.
yeah,
You know, if they know that they're paying $3,500,
Right.
you know, for that ER visit, because it's probably $10,000, they're gonna come up with 3,500, they're gonna be like, maybe I can just put some peroxide on that and a
So then-
Band-Aid.
A little
You know what I
bit.
mean?
With that statement or thought, it would be more advantageous for our whole pool to make sure that that contribution is equal to the $1,500 plan, or if not a little bit better, to steer people, I mean, if that's the
Right.
direction we want people to go, because it's gonna help.
Be more responsible with their.
But yeah, but what I'm saying on these rates though, is it's a little
Thank you.
deceiving, because that we're funding our self-insured, because that's partially insured, this plan is partially insured. So that money there is going into our fund, so it's not like it's going to Wellmark. It's going into we're paying ourselves, our own savings account to pay for
Right.
those claims. So these rates are just a little skewed because we are paying ourselves, like it's built into the rate to pay ourselves into our check or into the savings account.
And that's under the claims funding.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's that claims funding line, which, you know, they have it too. The HSA has it as well. They have a little bit of going into that as well. But I'm just saying, you know, that one is a little bit more,
Different, though.
so just to kind of keep that in mind.
So if I'm looking at this right,
It's a part of it too, is that's the cheaper plan because it's off a lot larger deductible.
Right.
So that is your offset for
Yeah.
why it's
Well,
less.
They would, in theory, then be paying more out of their own pocket for these small bills than what would be coming out of our fund with the other people.
Until the
Exactly,
deductible's
right.
met. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing would be, maybe we don't take action today, so you have time to find a bank that's willing to be a participant in this process.
they would all.
Right.
So we can do that at the same time.
Yeah, any of
I
them will.
agree with.
I mean, I think it's
Well, we
just
want it
whatever
one.
the fees are, you know, whatever, I mean, we definitely need to do some due diligence on finding a bank and how to set that up, you know,
Yep.
all of that.
They will all be more than glad.
So I'd like to prove it all as
And
one.
what they invest their HSA funds in. I'd like
And,
to know
and
that.
that's the other thing is, you know, Holmes Murphy said that there was another place, I can't remember,
I
First
can't remember.
National or something, that they actually invest the money. Your local banks are probably, it's just a
I
savings
would assume
account.
it's just a fixed.
It is a
amount.
Right.
Yeah. The
Right.
low
But I just wanna
interest.
be sure.
Right, and so, and that's the other piece of it, and I don't know if we, you know, I'm not a financial planner. So, you know, I don't know if we want to offer something that does invest it or is conservative and is just a savings account. I mean, that's a whole nother piece to the HSA.
And there are people that just really don't even use their HSA. They just use that as another form of a retirement. And the doctor, you just put your own money out there and
Right.
never touch it. It's getting interest. And when you retire, you gotta,
Big
you know,
old
to
chunk.
just say whatever happens, I got.
Right,
So it's a nice deal.
right.
So, and you don't find people going penny for penny, oh, I went and got a thing of aspirin, I'm gonna take it out of my HSA. You don't do that. But you
Right.
did.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can just grow, so I think
Exactly.
investing it is a great idea to invest it to where their money is growing as fast as they can, and if they're not gonna use it, that's just all the better
Right.
for
That
down the
would
road.
be
If
their
you do
preference,
have a
especially.
catastrophic event, you got money in there to take care of the incidentals that your insurance won't, so.
But do you
I
think anybody local is doing that?
I don't know for sure. I'd hate to say that out loud, but I think
Okay.
that's where our investigation goes and make some phone
Yeah.
calls and make sure that the money that is sitting there for employees is making as much money as it can for that rainy day fund.
Right,
Cause you're not required to take
Right.
the money out of there.
right, yeah. And the other thing to remember in these new plans is that prescription deductible is not separate. It goes towards the medical deduction. It's not separate.
It's not separate.
So that's a benefit. That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Yeah.
If they're doing the investing too, though, I mean, I think, you know, if we'd have a crash or something like that in the market, make sure that ain't gonna affect them
It needs to
negatively.
be
Yeah, I mean, you
conservative.
wanna have it
Right.
conservative, but
Absolutely.
I truly believe to find someone that has the best bang for your buck, you
I
know?
agree.
Right.
The high investment,
safest,
but, or
Best
the,
bang for your buck.
yeah. But, so
It gives
yeah,
us a little bit of time to do the research that we like to do, and really get the pros and the cons on all of the options and see if we can,
I think that by next week though,
oh yeah,
Hopefully.
I guarantee it.
And if we need to get Holmes Murphy on the horn, we'll, ask them to join our Zoom.
that'd be good.
So then like Craig's question could get asked if we can,
And I
if
also
we can offer
So
that.
think that
as
that
a
would
match.
get more employees in here possibly with the questions that they may have, you know, so that'll help us make our decisions, what's concerning our employees on if we go to this,
Right,
the pros and the cons to it,
right.
and not be in the dark about what this
Exactly.
really means to me,
That's for sure.
because what we're trying to do is make it better
Anytime.
and not make our employees feel like we're taking anything away from them. I think options are good.
yeah,
I think
Right.
everybody get their questions and do their research and
I'd like
Have
Paul
a-
Murphy on.
Yep.
I think so. I think it'd be good to have in case the more questions come up, they're
Can nail
available.
down the contribution and where that should be.
Because there's always a question that you guys have asked a lot of questions, but there's
Right.
gonna be another question that
Yeah.
maybe you didn't think of that somebody has heard.
Just one more question?
Oh, that's it.
Just one more.
I mean, like I just quickly, I was looking online and Bank Iowa offers HSAs, they have a $20 annual fee.
That's right.
United Bank of Iowa, also offers HSAs, they do not have an annual
Yep.
fee, so that's
Right.
something to consider.
I don't know if Crawford
And that-
County
and that
has
was
an
just-
annual
Right,
fee or
yeah.
not.
I haven't looked.
They have an
Yeah.
HSA, cause
Okay.
that's where mine's at,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I don't know
Where's yours
what the
at?
fee at Crawford County.
And this one has, United Bank of Iowa has higher tiered rates for the higher your balance is.
Mhm.
Oh,
So,
okay.
once again, another thing to
Right,
talk to them
right,
about is say, hey, is it a flat rate or
yeah. And I know Holmes
Who had that?
Murphy,
United Bank
United
of
Bank of
Iowa.
Iowa?
yeah, I know Holmes Murphy had a place that we could go to as well. And the other thing is, the employee could just go get their own account somewhere. But I feel like for administration, it'd be easier just
Without
to
it.
Right.
have,
Wanna
you know,
have
everybody go to one
100
and,
different.
And I think it'd be beneficial to have someone local, just because, I mean,
Right.
since it follows the person works here, if they would change jobs or
right,
when they retire, just to have the bank here
I-
locally.
right, yeah, I feel the same way.
Okay.
So
Support the
that's
folks, too.
the HSA part of it.
Okay,
The other part of it, and I don't know an easy way to say this. I really don't.
just say it.
So,
Rip the Band-Aid off.
okay, so
Run hell.
overall, this new plan is going to save the county over $200,000.
How was that hard to say?
We can
That's
change
not the
that.
hard part.
The shoe has it right.
Okay.
The Band-Aid.
I
just
said
gets peeled
overall.
before.
So, I mean,
Overall, meaning last year's cost to this year's cost.
Right.
$200,000.
Right, our
Right.
estimated annual cost compared to the estimated annual cost for next year.
yes. So, and this is where it doesn't make sense in your
I'll give
brain
you that.
because the county is saving $200,000. However, when they presented this plan, they had our, what the county is currently paying and what the renewal rate will be, and the difference didn't look so bad. However,
You take one.
that is not what we're actually funding into our self-insurance fund.
Indoor, yeah.
So the numbers that they were using to make it not look so bad, and I don't think they did this on purpose, they just used well-marked suggested rates that are on the renewals and said, okay, this is what you're currently paying and this is what it's gonna be, and it doesn't look so bad. But in actuality, we are only funding,
Which is the front of that handout I just handed out, I think.
I don't have to write it all down.
yeah, so we are currently funding for a single plan, $702. And that is, Crawford County doing $582.66, the employee doing $119. That's how you get the 702.
Where's that number at?
And under accrual in that left-hand column, under
So,
accrual rate.
yeah.
Oh,
this
I
right
did,
here.
yeah.
So, and then for family, it's, the county is putting $13.59 in, the employee is putting $278 in for $1,638. But truly, what they presented is that we're putting in $814 instead of the $702 and $2,035 for family instead of the $1,638. So their renewal rate, like I said, doesn't look so bad using that rate, but the reality of what we're actually paying is way less than what they stated.
Which is.
And this is where I said it's hard to wrap your brain around.
Mhm.
We are actually saving $200,000 overall. We are saving money. But, and like you all know, we have been underfunding the insurance account and that's why it's depleting. So, and that is why we have been underfunding it.
Problem I see if this is a good, the one who's gonna have to take the bite out of this apple, this is gonna be the employees. It's gonna hurt them
When,
far more.
when we all thought that was not the case.
Right. I mean, personally, if you jump from 702 to 930, that's a significant amount.
And here's the
Same
other
for
part
family.
of that is, so
What was the
think
family
about,
amount?
1638.
Oh, this year.
Yeah, that's their new amount for.
For the tradition.
So currently they're paying so for a single, let's just talk single, they're paying $119. Say they go to the HSA for 117, so they're saving $2. But now they are jumping to a $3,500 deductible. So see what I'm saying? Like, why would anyone do the HSA if you're not, you're paying the same thing, but now your deductible is now 3,500 instead of 2,000. If you're looking at what we are currently go at, jumping to. And then of course with the family, you know, it's the same thing. You're saving a little bit of money, but I mean, for a family deductible, it's going from currently 5,000 out of your pocket, jumping up to 7,000. So why would anyone do that? But then if you take what they say rates should be, and of course their rates, I mean, and what they presented, you know, the county has that resolution that we pay 70%, 17%. So, you know, and they kind of made those rates a little different to make it not look so bad. And it's like, well, that's not what we do. Our resolution is 83%. So if you take the 83% into account, our rate is not, or the single plan is not 136, it's 158. And it isn't 300, it's 372. That's a huge increase for the employees.
Almost $100 for a family.
How do other counties that run into this? I mean, if you wanted to keep the employee rates down without completely depleting our pool, are they subsidizing it through like the general fund or through taxes that way? I mean, how do you?
Well, I think for this year, we're gonna be fine between our, what we have budgeted in supplementals. The departments may need amendments to get through this because we didn't budget by department at this rate.
Well,
So it's probably gonna create an adjustment that way. But our supplemental fund balances, should be fine. Projected into the new fiscal year, also the same. Following that, we may be looking at possibly levying more in supplemental to maintain.
Possibly,
Yeah,
probably.
yes.
I just don't think it's fair.
I know.
To our employees to make them have to bite
I don't either.
a sandwich.
Because if you look at the premium summary, you see that only one of those lines is actually insurance premium. The rest are the county savings for claims and other fees. Fees for our broker, fees for the new third party, the EBS, that's gonna hold that claims funding account for us so that it won't go into our self fund, it's going into a fund with EBS. And we're gonna pay a consulting billing fee because they are part of the billing. The explanation of benefits will go from Wellmark to EBS, to our employee, back to EBS, back to our employee.
Yeah, this new plan is way different than what we currently have.
Yeah.
And I know when they presented it, maybe you got it faster than what I did with the whole, you know, we are buying from Wellmark a $5,000 deductible plan. But the employee is just gonna see a 1,500 because we're buying that down.
Right, correct.
So that's why you're gonna have to have,
The county's paying for the difference.
yeah. And that's
Or
why you have to have that little bit of money going into the savings account because you're still partially
I'm
funding.
with Kyle 100%. We cannot see that pool go to zero.
Right.
Right, we can't.
Yeah, because you're still
So
funding, you're
then
still
that's
partially.
I don't
have
think
to-
it will. I really don't think it will. I've been trying to piece it together, and these puzzle pieces are really hard to put together.
It's on this page
Perfectly
right here,
honest.
this is one you're looking at,
Yeah,
right?
it
Page
is.
21.
It is.
You don't, Terry, think that we need to revisit the supplemental this year before, we probably can't.
We can't raise it. So if you flip that handout, the colored handout, flip it to the next page.
Page 2.
Page 2, the saga continues. So this, yeah, it's right there. Page 2. Dental's on the way back, but anyway, we're not even going there yet.
Right.
I'll
go there yet.
So, Amy and I, after having that Zoom meeting with Holmes and Murphy yesterday, started calculating. So just using 17% of that insurance premium line off of the premium summary page. I don't know if all of you have this.
No, we don't have that.
Have a copy.
Yeah, I like to scribble on my copies.
Yeah. So having the employee, I think this is what we talked about, having the employees 17% just based on that. So that makes, I don't know if that makes any sense. So 17%. So let's go down to the employee monthly contribution, which is in that middle column. I'm gonna call it middle. It shows 122.70. That is 17% of that $721, which is the insurance premium portion of IGHCP. The remaining, the 807.57 is up in the employer contribution, 807.57.
Okay.
Which still gets us to the same monthly premium total of $930.27. You want a copy of that?
Sure. We found extra.
I do.
It's all my scribbles.
I know,
Yeah.
no, it's the second page is the one.
Yeah.
So we did a little math that way, just so you could see,
You guys
What
did
it-
serious math.
yes, because it's scaring the bejesus out of us, to be honest with you.
Oh, I'm getting a headache.
Join the
keep it-
club.
To keep it
That's-
closer.
So that keeps the employees difference a lot less. You can see
So
Or
that's
at-
17% of our actual premium, is what you're saying.
of just the premium line.
Yep.
Just the premium line on that premium summary page.
Top
The
one.
rest of those fees fall under the shoulders of the employer.
Mhm.
The rest of the fees, because it's our savings account for claims. So that's, was a little math, we talked about doing, just to see. I mean, the employees have some skin in the game, they still have some skin in the game, but it lightens the load. Cause I mean, we all know some of our employees didn't get the same raises as other folks. And we don't want them, so even Holmes Murphy said, you don't want to penalize the employees because the county's been underfunding their self-funding.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Sure, it's probably an issue we're gonna have to address in the future and maybe start taking small bites of that to share the, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
At one point, when you opened this conversation, you said $200,000 cheaper.
There's still, overall,
So,
there
I
is.
mean,
It is.
some
That's what
point
the
in
premium
time,
summary page says.
do we, give that back, put that back into it to keep
Right.
continuing to lessen the blow and just work on a 5-year plan to where,
Right.
and then raises will help offset some of this, I mean.
So overall,
I
it's
don't know.
200,000 cheaper than last year, or 200,000 cheaper?
Yeah.
Right, and it would have been even more cheaper.
That is hard to wrap your
Less-
mind around.
less
Yeah,
cheap.
We're paying
less
more of it,
cheaper,
it's cheaper.
more inexpensive, less whatever, than if we would have stayed with our current plan. We'd have been looking at
Correct.
$3 million in
Yeah.
costs
Correct.
in our current plan if we just stayed there.
So that's where your
So,
200,000 savings.
actually, that's 500,000.
That's
Yeah.
500,000?
Yeah, mhm.
Yeah, so we are
Yes.
saving, that's why I said the bigger
There is a
picture, we're
saving.
saving.
This,
Well,
But it doesn't look like it.
$47,500 that's penciled in there would have been, what do we?
That's worst
what-
case, that would
worst-
have.
I thought they said Worcester. I'm thinking.
It's close to
steaks,
the
but I'm
same
getting
thing,
hungry.
it really is close to the same
We're
thing.
going worst case,
For dinner.
worst steak.
But
So,
that-
yeah.
that's $200,000 savings isn't necessarily gonna be seen in our self-insurance fund because you're not collecting it. I mean, the fund is contributed by the,
Well, we're paying it to ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, we're paying it to ourselves so we can make the premium payment every single month.
okay,
And just remember that it also includes a claims funding, which is a savings, similar to what we're used to seeing in our self-fund. And all of this is based off of claims history. So if anything fluctuates with claims,
You know,
good or bad, it's gonna reflect, and it's gonna reflect in what they present next year. But we'll know it sooner. We'll know it sooner next year to be able to make the proper adjustments to either levying our supplementals different. And we did levy rural supplemental different for 2025. We raised it by 10 cents, which makes an additional 100,000 for rural supplemental, just FYI, not that that's a big deal, but it just is a fact.
$100 is a big.
It is, for rural supplemental it is, cause it's,
rural sub don't have a max on it.
it doesn't, supplementals don't have a
I don't think
max.
they have a max.
It's for what is needed to provide the
For-
insurance.
Right,
Mhm,
that's probably why it doesn't
exactly.
have a max, so it. because
Exactly,
insurance goes-
yep, you got it,
Oh.
you got it. What am I missing,
Well,
Amy?
Are these
Change
numbers
is
right?
hard, but I think
Changes
we're
are-
making the changes to get on the right path.
Cause how?
They
would
didn't change. I
So we gotta
didn't,
go
I
through a
didn't
little mud
change
road
them,
here
they're
to
the
get
same
that.
as
Okay.
from this page.
I would call it. deep
So
mud.
it's not the 83 or 17%
It's
of
deep
that,
mud. It's not just-
or that one number. Because
But
how would that?
clearly,
I don't
when
know.
you look at the overall savings, if we would
I
have
don't-
stayed on
we
the
don't
path,
need
the
to
road we were
Okay,
on.
We
okay,
were in deep mud then.
We were
We
indeed.
have to focus on that,
That's what I'm saying, we're going to go through some mud to get on the
Okay,
right
all right.
path to,
yes,
right in the deep mud,
Yeah.
just.
and that's why we, monthly, when the self-funded insurance pool paperwork was coming around, and I was always, there was a lot, probably all five of us were concerned that that number just keeps going
Going
down.
down.
right,
Cause we're not funding that properly.
yeah,
Yep.
I
If
appreciate
we would have
this.
been making minimal changes annually, and that number, we've been asking that for years, why is this number, well, nobody give us an answer, we finally got somebody that gave us an answer and said, well, you've been underfunding it.
Yeah,
So we would have been making them adjustments the
gradually
last 5
along.
years.
and we
This
didn't
wouldn't
have,
even, this would probably been a very seamless,
Yeah,
non-noticeable.
it would be less
Change.
painful today.
Right.
Underfunding, yeah.
well, and that's it. We didn't have any of the statistics that told us where we needed to go with our cell phone.
Exactly.
I
We
mean,
never got them
Yeah,
answers.
that's just it. We didn't know.
I mean, we've always had the suggested rates from Walmart.
Right.
That was always presented and we've always
Always
just done lower than that for whatever reason. I don't know those reasons.
I think because nobody knew the ramifications because of it. And now we found out what them were.
Right,
Yeah.
now that
Now
the
we
insurance,
almost have a heart
We
attack.
didn't ask enough questions, maybe.
But I think
We
Can
didn't
you
know
call
what.
for a load of White Rock,
Huh?
get us out of the mud, call for some White Rock, just saying.
But it's unfair, I feel like, the employees when what some of them got in raises is
right,
taken
gonna
away.
take away.
But
if
that's
we-
how, and it's always been like that. And that's
This
why.
isn't the first time this has
This
happened.
is why I have always said, I understand you have to, answer to taxpayers and all of that stuff. But when we're looking at these huge increases in insurance and not getting but 3% for a
Right.
raise. I actually did the math this time to show what it will actually look like had we have gone with the,
With their,
with what they're saying the
Yeah.
rates were. I mean, people would be getting a 0.47% raise. That's what it would look like in the end, going with this increase with what the raise that they were gonna get. I mean, I did the math on what a raise would look like and it is not good. And we have been doing that for several years, not getting good raises, getting 3%, 2%, whatever. But these massive increases in insurance, when, you know, when I started 11 years ago, we paid $0 for a single premium.
Okay.
And now they're up to 120. And I'm not saying it was right then or whatever, but when you don't get the raise or a little raise, get an increase in insurance every single time, the net effect is why you have unhappy campers.
What's going on out in the civilian sector? We're not the only ones getting insurance costs raised. I mean, you hear everybody complaining about it. So.
Well, I think that's why employers are trying to be creative on all these other benefits, letting them stay at home and work, do these other things, because insurance is crazy. It's insane. It's not just insane for us, it's insane for everybody.
Right, the whole industry.
So that's why people are trying to come up with other benefits, and that's where we're limited. We can't really offer to work from home. We can't offer some of those benefits, so.
It was cheaper before the Affordable Care Act.
It was.
Yes, sir.
And back when I was in the insurance field, and no insurance agent was excited for the ACA to happen.
You know, when you get out of federal prison, that the federal government pays 100% of your health care for the first year. I was talking to a gentleman and he had to hurry up and go in and get some major surgery done, so the federal government paid for it.
Well, we see that locally.
See, but that's,
we honestly see that locally.
We see them cost.
Right. I mean, how many times has Steiny let people out because they're about to have a heart attack and he's like, get out of my jail because I'm not paying for it. Because people actually do that.
We get it.
Yeah.
And we're paying for it.
Well, that's the thing.
So
That's why
we're gonna continue to see this until something drastically changes nationwide,
Oh, this is.
which I don't know if ever will.
Right.
But right now, I think what I seen the other day, 4 years at the spending rate our federal government is, we won't even be able to pay the interest with the amount of taxes that collect in a year, so.
I think we're real close to being.
4 years from now, it's, I don't know,
We need to
but
get
I
back to
do agree, we're trying, we're not. This board has never tried to gouge the employer.
Right.
I agree.
But I think sometimes when you don't see the numbers, it
And I agree with
doesn't
Carrie
really.
that you gotta do it in
Let's develop a
small
plan.
bites.
Right, we gotta put together a plan.
When we started paying insurance, I was at secondary roads,
Mhm.
and the raise was equal and a little more than what it was gonna cost. And that's what we need to do with our employees. Figure this plan out, it's gonna raise this much for every year. Your raises will be a minimum of this.
It's very like.
Know what that percentage is, and then go from there.
Things with insurance.
Everybody.
It's unfortunate
I don't
that
just mean us, I'm
insurance
just
has to
saying
be
people.
talked in the grand big picture of everything, but it's part of the equation.
It is, especially when especially when your groceries aren't getting cheaper.
No.
Gas is not getting cheaper.
Right.
All those things are not getting cheaper.
Daycare's not getting.
Cost of living
Right.
on every
I was
aspect.
told by our insurance agent that even just with our farm insurance, that rates are going up because of the durational. The millions they put out, I mean,
Oh,
they
yeah.
get it
Yeah.
back, they get it
My
back.
deductible went from 1,000 to 5,000 last year after the hailstorm.
I refuse to talk about that kind of insurance.
But
And that's just, when the employees are seeing a net effect of a raise, how are they supposed to be paying? Because they have that same insurance, they have, at home, they have the house property taxes, your income taxes, all of those things, and.
But what that report tells me is there's a huge disparity between some raises.
Yes, there is.
It's huge.
There
That
is.
report is eye-opening to me.
It is huge.
And that's why I wanted to get that report to you guys.
Thank you.
So you could actually see numbers, because when you're looking, you're thinking, oh, well, everybody's getting $2,500. This is what it's gonna look like. But when you put it all together, not everybody's getting $2,500. Not everybody, some people don't even have insurance, so they will be getting, a better net effect because they don't have insurance. So
That's-
just actually
Well-
see the numbers makes a difference.
Right.
But I think as budgets get tighter, you're gonna see people taking more risk on their own, say, they won't, I'm not gonna have insurance, I'll just, you know, if you're healthy and, you know, I mean, I can ride this, I'll take my chances. Your car insurance, it's paid for, I'm just gonna put liability insurance on it, I'll take my chances.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I think
until
that's
there's something
how-
that
That's
happens.
great.
There's,
You know,
I know.
I think people are willing to take some of them chances. If you're a good
Second.
driver, I mean, if you wreck a vehicle every 3 months, yeah, you might wanna have a little higher rate of insurance on it.
And I think it tends to, maybe moving forward, when you say have a 5-year plan, I mean that we don't have to continue, if we have a resolution currently that says we pay 83%.
Yeah, we could change
We
that
can change
resolution.
that.
Absolutely.
I think the school system, from talking to them, they pay 100% of the single plan. And if you want to choose any other plan as an employee, you pay 100% of the cost. So if you want to add a kid, you want to add a spouse, that's on you.
Mhm.
And so, you know, we're subsidizing the family pretty substantial with the way that we fund it.
Right.
And so maybe there's other avenues to look at it also.
And I know we have looked at separating those out to have employee, child, employee, spouse.
Presented.
Have more
But your family, price goes sky high
Right.
doing those 4 tiers or 3 tiers. So that's why we've never done it. We've just done single family.
But then you see the other side of it where, the person who's, got all the children, you know, it's just a hard one right there. I can't
Right.
put it in.
And when you see most of our people have the family plan,
Right, because it's about
Again,
the family.
it, I'm not gonna say our insurance is horrible because it is not. So if this is one of the very good benefits that we have, you definitely don't wanna be messing with this benefit because the private sector can do a whole lot more benefits than what we can. And if this is the one thing that makes people stay, you probably don't wanna be messing with it.
didn't
You know
wanna
what I
mess with
mean?
it.
Like,
Right. But we don't
I
know
don't
that.
know that,
We don't know that.
this isn't like our.
Don't know.
We don't know if this is a reason they stay, I guess, without talking to them or talking to the employees to say, what's the main reason you stay? And if we took away the family, insurance benefit, would you be more likely or less likely to leave? I guess that'd be a good question to ask and find out.
Right.
So my question about that report is the names are at the end of it where you're seeing the double figures. Those are usually gonna be the ones that are not taking any insurance from the,
there was a column that,
I just glanced through it. I didn't study it. I might want a copy of that.
yeah, and I can definitely,
Sure, yeah.
It's been a
yeah,
long
the
time.
ones that, there's like a little dash there, those are the ones that don't have insurance.
Through us.
So they would
us.
stay.
Right,
Right.
They would stay.
yeah, they would.
They do.
There ain't very many of them though.
There aren't very many.
But
No,
that
there's
also
not.
goes
There's only like 6 people that don't have insurance through
That's
our, the
hard.
county, so that's not very many.
That's Amy's, you can't write on it.
No, you can.
So to be fair though, I mean, it goes back
Got
to
you.
the percentage.
Look, Benny.
Right. Well, they tell me nothing and stuff, maybe you do. Sorry. This is a serious, discussion we're having about how to, make this all work. And so if we could possibly have till next week to really get our sharp pencils and talk to people and.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a decision that we need
Please
to
keep thinking
really
about it through the week and
understand
stuff.
the
Appreciate that.
ramifications of,
I'll add it to the list.
so.
You don't want it. It's on the, it's Carroll County's.
Oh,
I know,
Oh,
we,
yeah.
you know, we have 3 departments. I mean, what do you guys, if you change
Only see
Come
two
together.
how family and single, how would your offices say?
She's a
That's
sign.
a pretty good answer.
Everybody really likes.
Yeah.
I think.
What's that?
Yeah.
That's a good benefit that
Gee,
everybody really
It's
likes,
the
so,
the
yeah, I'm
same
not
thing,
quite
she
sure about
needs to
that.
sign this.
I'm sure they, if they have.
Both of them
probably
inside.
look into
Yeah, you just need to sign.
That's what the yellow
their
flag is
spouse's
for Jim.
insurance is
You
more
just sign
affordable,
on that.
but if they don't have a choice.
Right.
You know, and I think it's all across the country, insurances are going up. I mean, I don't care if it's health insurance or automobile, farm liability, any liability, they're all going up because of, you know, 1,000 reasons why.
Thousand,
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's hard to do that because wages haven't followed across,
Signing inside of both.
unless you are a top 10%, well, top 1% in America, nobody's wages have went up because of the inflation that's went up much quicker.
Right.
So even if you got a pay raise, I mean, we've sat here at this table trying to figure out ways to keep everything down. Because even the taxpayers are, I mean, that'll be the next thing, you know, right now, we don't have any trouble collecting, well, I shouldn't say we don't have any.
I don't know.
We have minimal trouble collecting taxes, correct?
Oh.
Like,
I
it
have
change
most
pretty
people
quick
call
if we
after that paper
keep
went
taxing
out,
the hell out of them.
concerned about their taxes. You know, that's paper, that's the most calls I've had ever, so, in regards to their taxes.
Yeah,
So, I mean, people are noticing.
yeah. Yeah, this year is the first time I've had noticeable amount of calls as well.
And here again, is
But-
because they didn't know or just didn't, they
That was
assumed.
confusing.
But, and the same reason why we assumed we were good with our health insurance. Now we know.
Yeah.
So let's correct it.
Yeah.
In a way that's amicable to our employees, to the taxpayer.
But I mean, then you have to figure also, I mean, if what Sarah said is right, is that she thinks that employees, really think that it's valuable to have that family plan. And so there's a cost that goes along with that also, that we're charging the taxpayers for. And so that has to be figured into your total compensation. It can't just be salary, and benefit just is on top of it, as part of it. I mean, we have to look at the total cost of each employee is what it costs the taxpayer. And if a larger percentage of that is in health insurance versus salary, then hey, that's the way it is. That's evidently if that's what, as an employee, if that's what you like, then that's the way it is. So you can't expect both.
Correct.
Because the taxpayer is just concerned about the total cost of each employee, and whether you pay it in salary or pay it in benefits, it's still a cost.
Yeah.
I think I have
And it's
that.
still their overall income from the county.
Right.
Yep, you're right. Great point.
And that's where I also have to
And
clip in
papers would be
and
included
say
in that.
Correct. I got one of those.
that those private sectors also have other benefits that we cannot do it for the county level. I
Name
mean, we
one.
can't do,
Name one.
we can't work from home.
How many people?
There's maybe 2 people or 3 people, but for the most part, we cannot work from home.
Who
We
Crawford
couldn't
County
get one
working from
extra
home right
day.
now?
Remember when you tried to do one extra day for COVID? People lost their mind on the internet because we might get one extra day when the school was getting a $5,000 bonus. I mean, there's things that you just can't do at the county level that the private sector or the school gets.
Question I have in Crawford County, and I don't know the answer. How many people are working from home in Crawford County right now?
I bet there's a lot.
Just try to name me one, just to make me happy.
I'll name
I mean,
one.
How many people at public
Your wife
health
works
are?
from
My wife works from home.
Okay, very good.
Human Services.
Perfect. That's what I need.
I know like the
really-
logistics
I'm out of the
company, a
loop.
lot of them, you know, like Trinity across the street, a
Yeah.
lot of them have went to home.
Okay, I needed to.
Now we only have Trinity.
I know that the
and
banks
Denison,
aren't letting their.
that type of business.
I mean, your teachers all got to work from home and worked
They
over
still
Zoom
came
for
back.
COVID.
Yeah, that looked
But the
like fun.
county was here. I
That looked like
mean,
fun.
And the
Right.
benefit of the county, you've got a defined benefit plan with IPERS that private sector companies do not offer. They all offer.
they have
401k.
401ks and they get a
They have-
15%
They have
match sometimes.
401ks,
Okay.
but they don't have a defined benefit plan.
They
that
don't.
IPERS has.
They
And so
don't.
some people think that that's a lot larger benefit to have the defined benefit plan versus 401k. Whereas, you know, I mean,
Because
market
401k
IPERS
is
is defined. You're gonna get it no matter what the market does. You're not
Just
affected by
by
the
that.
market.
Right.
Yeah.
But my husband also gets a 15% match. And that's not what the match is here
15% match for whatever.
for his
Oh
401k.
my God.
So,
But his employer then just passes that on to,
It costs.
Charge them
into
more
the
for-
cost of doing business for his employer. So that gets, whoever patronizes their business is
He's
paying.
paying that. Yeah.
They still gotta manage it though, or their
Right.
customers go away.
right.
Correct. And I think,
That's the difference. Ours show up.
you know, there's
Different.
lucrative businesses that are very
You show up and
successful.
complain.
I mean, I think any trades right now, I mean, you try to find an electrician or a carpenter, you know, them guys are, you name their price and they'll get people, you know, the private sector is a different deal. I mean,
It
McDonald's
is.
gave 15, you know, minimum wage, $15 an hour. What do? They put automated services in and got rid of people.
Yeah.
So,
And your hamburgers got smaller.
so I mean, the thing about government is we can't, there's certain things we provide and it's cost us a certain amount and we gotta keep the taxpayers from, I don't know.
You could testify to a longer term, but this is probably I mean, we really went through the budget this year. And I mean, clean to try to basically offset costs. So hopefully when things like this go up, we can afford them because we aren't making a tax asking, God, that's a tongue twister, in other areas of our budget, you know, and going forward, it's even gonna be more critical because we're just really starting to get into what 718 and that is created. So we'll see.
Well, I think with the continued stress on property tax reform on the state level, it's only gonna come back to core services that could eventually come to, because I don't know if they take our ability to collect taxes off through property taxes, then they're not backfilling it with sales tax somehow. Our budget ain't gonna grow.
Nope.
So
I'm worried next year it'll shrink.
I don't know.
Well, and how
We'll know
is,
where it goes.
so the teachers are now, their minimum wage is what, 60, 65? How is our taxpayers paying for that?
That is a fabulous question. Should we call somebody?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Awesome.
Ask Wisconsin, they had a bunch of them show up at their courthouses or their state house because they had to find ways to clean up retirement benefits or what have you. That's,
I mean, the state's paying for the difference now, but, for the teachers.
Yeah.
But it certainly will be interesting if the state has issues for finances moving forward. Will they change their mind? They certainly
They do
do
often.
that.
And it's still coming down to the taxpayers. I mean, it's
It's still
not the
coming
state
down,
would be
whether you're
paying
paying-
for it, but it's still the
whether you're paying
taxpayers paying
sales
for it.
tax or
Right, we're still paying
property
for it.
tax or income tax.
And just like us, our
Still
general
tax.
fund only lasts so long, and their general fund of the $2 or $3 billion will only last so long.
Right.
Well, maybe
If that's how
they
pay.
wanna take over paying
Pay for
insurance
it.
for all people.
Maybe we could get a grant for that.
Just gotta think outside the box.
well,
I love
those are
that.
our tax dollars as well, so.
I love
Let's
that
just
idea.
get a,
that's
yesterday,
federal, they just make it in the back room. They don't-
everybody that
Like
put
I
a
said
check in the
earlier,
mail,
4
you got
years,
proof
they
that
won't
it's
even
going.
be able to collect enough taxes to pay the interest that they're accruing.
So, Amy,
Send more.
on the $200,000 less, when I just taking the 82 that have family, the 31 that just take the single, our cost last year to provide that was $129,480. Our cost this year
Gotta be
to
more than
provide that is $173,008.
It's gotta be more.
I mean, it's more than that.
I'm sorry, monthly,
Right,
that's
right,
monthly,
right.
that's
Okay,
monthly.
yes, okay.
Monthly, yes. So that's 34,000 a month. Take that times 12, you know, that's about $400,000.
Yeah, the next line down, it goes from 1.554 million to 2,076,000.
So where are our savings at to get us that we're spending 200 grand less? Where
And the
does that
claims. So the claim,
claims funding
expected
amount.
claims.
current, I mean, it's gonna be 163,001. Right, the claims funding on the IGHCP,
Yes.
Yes.
and currently we're spending how much on claims funding there?
I
That
don't
was-
think I have that here. I don't think I brought.
And that claims funding just goes to our account, right?
Right.
That's the money we stick in there.
Right,
Okay.
right. So this is where Holmes Murphy and their actuarians and all of that come into play. And they are expecting our claims to be a certain amount for this next year
Based on our history.
based on our history. And they're the ones that are saying that it,
That's the amount you want me to fund it at.
right. And he said, so the other thing is, where is there? That claims funding amount. He said, and it's really not a whole lot, but that $163 that they're putting in for single, that's going into our savings account, I guess. That is at a 30%, expected claims, and he said you could shave 5% off of that and still
What
probably
does that
be
mean by
safe.
30% expected claims?
That, from our
So-
history, that's what they're saying is what we need to be funding our account is 30% of the premium to go into that account for the claims.
Okay.
And he said that they built into this a 30% rate, but you could probably go down to 25%, but you would probably be more,
We don't wanna do that.
We're
yeah,
already short.
right,
Right.
yeah.
Gotcha.
And,
Okay.
but their premium rate is more in line with what it should be.
Yeah, but we're still trying to catch up from days past.
Right,
Right.
right.
And at 326, it'd be 30% as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
I'm sorry, this one again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we
208.
could get a hold of Holmes Murphy on Friday. I was not in a good mental state on
Yeah.
Friday.
You were in.
I called him even, so.
It just added to my Friday.
Yeah, you were.
Well,
having
and so here's the
banner
thing
day
with all
anyway.
of that is when they were presenting, I didn't have this in front of my face. I was just listening. So I didn't have the numbers. So then when we started talking about the rates and, you know, all of those things, I started looking at the numbers and I was like, these aren't right.
Mm-hmm.
What they presented is not what we're doing. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it needs a little bit more
You
thought
think
into
that's,
it, I guess.
was
you
scary.
think the significant difference was because this was their first year with us?
No,
It's because we've been underfunding.
Right.
Our
It's
But I
fund.
mean, they would have knew that if it wasn't our first year. Do you
I
think?
gave them the rates right off the
Yeah.
bat. That was the first thing. So I think, I don't know, I don't know.
If that didn't get communicated
Right,
to
like, I don't
whoever
know.
presented or, made the presentation.
I
know.
certainly don't think they did it
No.
on purpose or anything like that. I think it was, I don't know.
But all in all, we are still by far better
Yes.
going down this path with Holmes Murphy.
Yeah.
And where we were going.
Then where we were
Yeah,
headed.
and next year you will see that stabilization.
Yeah.
That's the silver lining, that they're on the
Yeah.
right path to
Right.
make it.
Yes.
It's just this year,
It's a gray lining. I don't know how silver it is.
We'll see. Hopefully it's more silver than gray.
well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think,
It's something we're gonna have to
just
figure
look
out.
through what's the best way to go to have the least negative impact on our employees.
I just have a question.
I'm
Exactly,
glad.
exactly.
So in May, when it's open enrollment and Amy sends everything out, that's usually May, right? This will be finalized and shown to the
Yeah.
employees.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, Holmes Murphy will
Holmes
be
Murphy
here
will
to
be
help
here.
present.
Right.
And we'll give them a ton of information to help to explain the difference in this plan to what they're currently used
Cause
to.
it's different.
It's different.
Okay, so maybe we'll even have sessions.
Yes.
Yeah, we will be out of the mud by then. We will
Yes,
no longer be in the mud.
yeah.
Do we know what it would cost the county if we didn't make the employees eat the increase?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what we presented. I don't know.
When you go from 702 to 930. You have to cover that difference. So it's on the second page.
This is what.
Yeah. The adjusted rate is.
Oh, county's portion
What we're doing now.
is the 807 and then the family
But this is what
1884.
we're. This is what's in there.
We're asking for that lower.
Right.
Yeah,
So we set off.
To keep it
that
somewhat
the
similar.
Employee will not notice
right.
anything major. It'll be a minute.
This would be such a small increase that,
If we do what, Cal?
Do that, when we do the 17% of the actual insurance cost, not all the cost.
not all the costs, but just the insurance premium.
Right, just
Oh,
the,
okay.
just the premium, not all these.
So is
So the
are these the
employee
numbers we
might
focus on?
Only notice. It's gonna be
Yes, I'll
so,
circle them.
Can't see
minute.
it from here.
So
Are these the
then,
two
but then,
numbers we would
like,
focus on
to
that?
fill our fund.
Yeah.
Am I on the right
county
line?
will be,
Yeah,
Would be 100%.
more.
So that's,
So, and this year that'll basically come out of our general.
600,000.
Yeah, or supplemental, yeah.
that's
Or,
the
yeah,
county's portion.
supplemental. I'm sorry. I get
That's what it is
confused.
now?
Supplemental for sure.
Or is that what it's gonna be? if we
And
don't
then
solve
next
it?
year we'll have to add more tax asking to the
The green
supplemental.
column is
offset.
what it is
that what
now,
we're
right? The blue
anticipating?
one
Yeah.
is what it
Okay,
will
so now I
be,
understand where we're at.
yeah.
Where's
That's
the-
a
Wanna make
big
sure I was
increase.
reading
Where's
it
the
right.
number
You're all
that
thinking the same
tells
thing I
us-
am, then I ain't.
If the county helps with more of the, is.
That's this
That's that
page,
number, okay.
that's this page.
That's, okay, so
This
I'm on
is
the right page.
This is the other proposal.
Right, got it.
And
Yeah.
just to be clear, that green line is what was being paid, but that's not, that's what was being kind of, the employer's portion of what's going into this fund. But that 2.1 column, I mean, that's really what actual claims are expected to be or whatever. So that is where the discrepancy is. We were only doing 1.5, but our claims were, what are they saying this year is gonna be 2.7 million?
Yeah,
And we're only putting 1.5 in. That's the
That's why
discrepancy.
we were falling in the hole.
that's in your
Yes.
book, that's in that presentation.
I-
Your book's probably at home or in the Prius
Prius.
floating around somewhere.
Oh, no, exactly. It's in my file called insurance.
Gobble up all of the
Yeah,
pay increase.
good thing.
Yeah.
So what's the big difference between the two sheets? One, I mean, they both say, are dated the same and both say renewal medical rates on them. This is 2024 renewal
One is
rates.
definitely
One
the
is
employee's advantage to eliminate, not penalize the employee for the underfunding of the
Second
fund.
page is that.
So if you,
Just the.
Insurance policy, 807.
Yeah.
You do the 83%.
Yeah.
The
so the second page is taking 17% of
Yep.
just this amount
The premium.
instead of the self-funding
Okay,
and then all the fees. So that first page is taking 17% of this 930.
okay.
The second page is just taking 17% of just that
Okay,
premium.
just the premium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the employer, really.
So that means the single plan for the employee will be
That part of it.
Right.
$3
And they're gonna have to realize that
and
we want to keep the quality of
30 some cents.
employee.
Right.
And the family is gonna go up.
These are the kind of things that we're gonna have to bite the bullet on, and it might cause.
It's on that purple
$27,
column.
$27.
It's all out.
Hopefully we can clean it up elsewhere.
And we need to double check those HSA numbers, cause I don't think those HSA numbers are right.
Well, we certainly, I would wanna make sure when I'm looking at it, that I am looking at the right
Well, one or the
numbers,
other,
so
you
that
gotta
when
do
I have the light bulb go off,
Right.
I just.
And I have to have that. no, that,
Then I know their health is
Right.
cared for.
my whole,
And this is why Terry and I have been
I know
having
when I was a young guy,
heartburn
if I
since
wouldn't have been in
Friday,
the
when
military,
we figured this
I
out.
wouldn't have headed
I
the
know,
insurance, I ain't paying for that crap.
Really?
Okay,
I'm not sure that would help.
Okay.
And I think, I mean, on my original point, I think I agree with Dave as far as the, not to make the employee pay any more to make it equal, that we shouldn't have to have them pay anything to get the HSA. I think that makes the most sense. I was just kind of thinking out loud when I said that, and what you said, I think makes the most sense, is not to make one employee pick a plan that he has to pay more out of his pocket than somebody else does.
Correct.
Yeah.
that's correct. That I think
Right.
we could agree on today.
Yeah. And I think funding something to that would, get at least maybe healthy employees to go over to the HSA side. Because they're gonna be building this savings account and it's also,
They also see their bill.
right, they're
So
also,
they're gonna
it's,
be a little
like I
more-
said, that HSA is more consumer driven and in the whole, that's better for the county.
Yeah,
So,
and it's better for them too.
As time goes
Well,
on.
I
Go by
like
their
the
own
idea of
Band-Aid.
having it on next week and
Instead of
having
going to
Holmes
the-
Murphy here. And
Yep.
we can
Yep,
kind
yep,
of,
yep. And what gives us a chance to,
Thanks for helping
kind of
sort
think of
through
these questions
I
in
think
the
so too,
privacy of our
yeah.
homes.
Gotta talk it out.
yeah.
I call my wife all the
Yeah.
time. when
I don't have a
stop
pencil, I have a
working.
pen, so it's been difficult.
What do you think about that? You gotta have a sounding board.
And an eraser and a red pen. So, all right, so we'll just move on past that.
Thank you.
Lots of different questions, a lot of, thank you guys for putting all these numbers together and really giving us a good picture. So we can make our decision based off actual numbers and not what ifs.
yeah, I'll send that to you guys.
I don't
The
really
employee
think.
pension.
any
I
of
mean,
this
which
things-
it's not gonna be accurate if we're changing the numbers, I could change,
Yeah, please.
you know, that, so.
You know where we're thinking.
All right, yep,
Yeah.
kind of, that was round one,
Yeah.
so.
It helps. Helps with the decision.
Ding, ding.
Is it phase one? So we are now at our citizen input. We'll start in the room. Paul, have anything? Questions? All right. Karen?
I just want to tell you that we're under $900,000 for collection. That's, right around 2%, I think.
Good.
I mailed out delinquent notices yesterday. They have to be, posted by May 1st, but this gives the citizens a chance, a little bit more notice to pay before we put out another penalty.
Is that typical, 2%? Is that?
We're pretty much right in about where we have been lately, yes. Yeah, so we're pretty much right on schedule. I think I mailed out 564 delinquent notices yesterday. So, of most people, because it's March and they just forget because we don't send out a second reminder. Most people just honestly forgot, and when they get this notice, they're gonna rush in here feeling like.
Yep.
I do.
Or they just happen to roll in and do something with their cars and then you count them.
Yeah. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I do have one more.
All right.
You were talking about percentages for the banks, and I don't know that this really matters, but on our $1 million balance, we're getting a 4.28%. So, I mean, I would assume that HSA wouldn't carry anything near $1 million balance, but that's one of our best negotiating.
And that's with what bank?
Bank Iowa. Most all of the banks are very willing to negotiate their rates with you with a minimum balance. We've had a lot of luck with that and with the CDs. You know, kind of, iPay is paying 5.83%.
Who's paying that?
iPay, that's the Iowa Public.
So the county puts money in that?
I put money in iPay, yes. And I also use iPay as a bargaining tool for some of our local banks.
Perfect.
I can give iPay this for 5 point, what can you do at a local level? And
that's something too, if we go to the HSA, is that would a local bank take that consideration as far as the $1 million that we already have there and base the amount that they would pay on an HSA on the fact that we already have money in there? Maybe we can get a better rate than we could if it was just an HSA.
All right, very good. Anyone on Zoom have any input for our citizens input? This is the time to talk about whatever wasn't on the agenda that you have a concern about. Going once, I don't see any hands up. All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Aye.
All right. Nay, just stays here all day
We
then.
need to go talk to Paul.
Yeah, we do. We do. Thank you, everybody, for your input.
We're looking Vail.
We'll see you all on the 30th. I will holler at you somewhere between Phoenix.
You will be here next week?
I'll be somewhere between Phoenix and Charter Oak.
All right,
Wow.
we'll
That's
miss you.
pretty broad, I would say.
So you're gonna be MIA.
Driving.